So, but before we entered, we were already beckoning on this people that we want to ease, we want to ease. They didn't even want to listen. They were just pushing us like, how can you people just be pushing somebody like animals? We don't even know where we're going. Like, this is very unthinkable. So I held that urine for good 2 days. So the next morning when they came, you now see them begging that, please, we want to wee. So the man was, arrogantly, he was talking, and he went to get a gallon, like this aluminum gallon. We now looked at it that, how a guy can pee in this, but how can a lady pee in this? And from the descriptions he was giving us, he meant that we shouldn't allow the pee to spill on the floor. So we said, okay, all the guys should pee first and the ladies will take turns to pee, which was what happened. And somehow pee actually spilled. So by the time he was coming back, when he opened the door, so the pee, pee wouldn't, and you can imagine pee that stayed, the smell, it was awful. He was angry. He went back, he went to get a stick, and he was holding like 3 different things. So I was wondering, what does this guy want to do? At that point, everybody had their heart in their mouth, because the moment you see them holding anything, they can hit you anywhere. They can hit you anywhere. So he was now asking who spilled pee on the floor. They were pointing to the wrong person. So I was just watching initially. They were pointing to and he was going to start beating her. So I was not like trying to say, no, she wasn't the one. You see, when that spring landed on my head, this spring they use in water closet. Very strong and thick. And all I knew that was going on was that I was screaming at the top of my voice with both hands on my head, because it actually hit me on my head. And when I gave birth, like 8 months, when I was 8 months pregnant, I fell in the bathtub and had a slit on my head from the tiles in the bathroom. So sometimes that part of the head still hurts. So when he hit that spring on my head, it was exactly on that spot, and he did it like 3 times. He kept hitting the spring on me. I remember crying till I didn't know what was going on. And for the first time, when they say people have transition, I always wonder. I knew I was just lost somewhere. I knew something was going on to my body. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what. I was just blank. But I could hear myself crying. And I was just crying, as in, bitter tears. You cry bitter tears, and you just have to still be the one to tell yourself, you have to stop. So by the time I woke up, the other ladies were like, you need to see the way they were rejoicing, because they said they didn't believe I was going to still come back to life. The head was actually bleeding at that point. And at that point when I woke up, they had cleaned it, they had tried everything. I remember when they were pouring water on me. I remember when somebody was tapping me and everything. And I was like, they started explaining what actually happened. That the moment he hit that spring on my head the second time, I started screaming, and they noticed I was bleeding, and I cried, and I just went mute. And they were telling him that she's not talking, and the man just told them, bara, 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 and he went away. He said they were praying, they were begging God that this girl must not die. She has been like a source of strength to us. If she dies here, what's going to happen and all that. It actually took me 4 to 5 hours before I woke up. And at that point, I had lost strength, I had lost everything. So there was a lady we met in that place that had a phone. So that was the first time I had to beg her. I'm sure it was because as a result of what had happened, she did not allow any other person use her phone. They would normally not allow you use their phones. So I couldn't even tell my mom what I was going through, because there's no how she would hear my voice like that and not panic. And I know the kind of mother I have. So I called my boss that I worked with in the FRSC and told him, this is what has happened to me. And I don't even know where. Yeah, we're in Trauna at that time. And he said, but why didn't you say anything before leaving? And then I told him that they told us not to say anything. The moment they say don't say anything, you should have known it was trafficking. I know that you're naive and you do not know anything, but you should have told me. Because he was now like a father to me. Even after I had stopped working with the FRSC then, he was like a father to me. He said he was going to try his best to see what he can do, but that still being on transit, there is probably little or nothing he can do at that point. So I'm sure he tried calling back because the lady kept cutting a particular call. I wouldn't know, and I didn't want to disturb her. So at that point, I really cried. I cried. That was the only thing I could do. I just cried. Like, I have never suffered like this in my life before. Even if I'm to suffer anything, it shouldn't be suffering from a decision to have a better life. So long and short was, we got into Libya and they kept hiding us. They lay us in hillocks, cover us with tarpaulin, hiding, running, making sure you're not seen, number of choking, you have to be there, sometimes 3 hours, 2 hours, you won't be able to breathe, you can practically feel life leaving you, you're sniffing each other's air, and in the midst of all of this, some people will be fighting and quarreling and beating themselves. I just couldn't imagine why. And even in that, some people decided they wanted to go do this thing, like they wanted to travel this way. I didn't know anything like this existed. I didn't know anything of such even happens. Finding myself in it was like the biggest dream I never wished to have again. So, found ourselves in Libya, and the first thing they did, seeing Nigerian girls and women, I was like, okay, so finally, we have gotten to our destination. So, what's next? Entering that house, I knew this is going to be a big problem for me. Because already I was upset. I was ready to yell at anybody. And then the first thing they made us do was to strip ourselves. I was like, okay. So I did remember at some point in the journey where a particular guy, we met him somewhere, and he also gave us a hint of how it actually goes. He said they're taking you to the garage. And then I now asked, what is the garage? He said the garage is a place where they take Nigerian girls to. And that's the most common place that they take them to. And they're going to take you to the connection house. And what they do normally in the connection house is sex trade. So I said, no, I'm not going to do that one. He said, you will not have a choice. He said, they'll make life hell for you. You will not have a choice. So he now said that if eventually I get there, and that is what it is, that I have an option to run away. But it's very risky. And then he did give me his number and said that I must not write that number anywhere, that if they see that number with me, they will beat the living daylight out of me, because they will know that I have contacted the burger as well. So he made me cram that number. 2 of us, we crammed that number to be sure that we didn't forget the number. But you see all the experiences we went through afterwards. At a point, I couldn't even remember the number anymore. And then I remember what he said. He said, you just have to help yourself remain strong. And while they asked us to strip ourselves, I was like, for whatever reason, I'm coming to work for someone. Why would you ask me to strip myself? So they said they were searching. Maybe you have a number written somewhere in form of a tattoo, or maybe you wrote the number somewhere and you hid it in your clothes, or anything. They just wanted to be sure you didn't have any information whatsoever. They collected my phone, went through my phone, and that night they called us one after the other. So, what were you doing in Nigeria? And then I explained, and the man said, okay, now this is the woman and her husband. The man said, okay, I can see. And then the first question he asked me was, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I was dumb. Like, he said, you have something good doing. What are you doing here? I said, it was a friend that said there's traveling opportunity, and said, there's no need to explain. You are here, you are here. Oh, any choice near. Your own is to make sure you work on time and pay and get out of here. So the wife now asked, what did they tell you that you're coming here to do? I said, first of all, they are doing. I said, I don't really know, but I saw a couple of girls sitting down. I said, they're working for their money. He said, that is the same thing you're going to do. And I was like, I don't understand. He said, yes, that's the same thing you're going to do. So the earlier, the better for you. I bluntly refused, because this is that wasn't what I was told in Nigeria. And for no reason, why would I leave Nigeria to come to Libya, to come and prostitute with my body to make money? How much money do I want to make? So I felt I was doing myself good by trying to be as open as possible. I was very plain and blunt, and then she just kept laughing. I was like, but yeah, nobody will tell you. So she said, okay. And the same thing with every other girls, because we had agreed that, okay, if eventually we find out that that is what we're actually being taken there to do, that we are not going to agree to it, because that was not the agreement. And for whatever reason, we cannot just decide to leave Nigeria and go and prostitute somewhere. So she was like, she knows that girls that they just bring from Nigeria are very stubborn, that she will give us 3 days to go and decide. But in that 3 days, we should be watching at the other girls to see how they actually go about what they do. And the first day went by, second day went by. I vowed to myself, I said, nowhere in heaven's name will I live this kind of a life. Like, it was so absurd. I was grieved, I was bitter, I was angry, all manner of words, because looking at all the experience in the journey, I almost died, and then all for what? To come here and come and use my body to work to pay someone. I'm like, it didn't make sense. I cried every minute I remembered. And on the 3rd day, she did call us to ask us if we were ready. I told her that she has to look for another job for me. And then she said, okay, since I don't want to take it easy, since I don't want to take it the easy way, that they'll show me how they also go the hard way. So that night, we didn't even know what she meant. That night, a girl was brought in, and we watched more than 5 people beat that girl black and blue. Wow. She had also refused the connection house where she was taken to. She had also refused to do the same connection house job. It was actually a burger that brought her, but they took her somewhere else. So they said she was being stubborn where she is, or where she was, and then they brought her back to the burger. Madam, come and take your girl, give us back our money. She said she know they work. They beat that girl to stupor. They beat her to the point where I sat where I was, and I told myself, I said it out, like, these people are not humans. Like, why? On seeing the way they beat that lady, I was like, so I will also come to this point where they will have to beat me to say, yes, I will do it. I said, I would rather die. Because at the point when they beat her, she was like, okay, Mashi, I will do it, I will work, I will do it. I was like, so this is what I will go through. So for some reasons, I didn't know, they took the other 3 ladies out of where I was. It was now left with only me in that house that came together. So after a week, she then asked me that, what else can I do? I said, I cook. She was like, okay. She gave me pepper and oil. I said, go and make stew with it. I made the stew. She told them to teach me how to make banku. I made the banco. She was like, okay, not bad for a start. So first of all, your first job here is you're going to be cooking for everybody. My heart was like, okay, finally she has agreed to give me something else. So another week went by and she said, Orobo, I don't know where one day she just called me by that name and said, for her, that is what she will be calling me. Although she gave me another name, Success. So everybody calls me Success, but she calls me Orobo. And then she looked at me and said, Orobo, are you ready to work now? I was dumbfounded and I couldn't say anything. And in my head, I was like, if it is to die here, I think I'm ready to do that. But to use my body here, I will not. So 3 weeks went down. And all of these weeks, nobody even came in one day to say, this person, how she be, who she be, and all. So after the 3rd week, a man came in, a matured Nigerian man, a Yoruba man. He came in and did ask to take me home. And at first she refused, that she wasn't going to let him take me home, but he begged and all of that. So when we got home, he sat me down and said, I didn't bring you here to come and sleep with you. I brought you here to teach you one lesson that will help you if you must live where you are. He said he noticed the way I was being questioned, the way I was being bullied and all that. That is the way the woman does. And that I'm even still seeing the better side of her. That she's a really, really hard person. And when she's ready to go hard, she goes all the way. He said, you see where you are, there's no shortcut. There is no way out other than for you to actually make money, pay them before you leave. And if you are not even careful, you'll be done paying them, you will not know, you'll still be there playing a full work. From that time, that was the reason why the woman refused to give me to him initially, because normally that is the way some men will come there, take girls and they run away with them and they don't eventually get their money. So he said, but he's going to teach me how to make it fast. That if I work with my body to pay them, they'll split that money in two. But if I'm doing something extra to pay them, they would record the money just the way it is. Say, for example, I sleep with someone and the man pays me 5,000 naira. They're not recording 5,000 naira. They're recording 2,500. But if maybe I sell something or I save up money and I give them that same 5,000 naira cash at hand, they'll record the 5,000 naira for me. So the best for me is to think of something I can start doing to get extra money, which is begging. So when these guys come, I have to beg them for extra penny. Or if they ask for anything beyond what I'm supposed to give them, like in normal duty, then I should ask for extra cash. Those extra cash are the extra stipends I'm supposed to be saving up to give them. I cried my ass out that night. So he said, you see, she's even giving you grace. He said, it's because she likes you. That this woman, she's naturally not the patient type, and the moment you're proving hard, she'll go hard with you and you'll give up. So the earlier the better for you. But he felt that he should just reach out to me and teach me something that would help me. So I eventually spent 2 years and 9 months in Libya altogether. I spent a year and 8 months in the connection house, and that a year and 8 months was hell for me. So after 7 months, I tried reaching out. So at the point they released a phone for the girls in the house to call their customers, to know when they're coming, to know if you're having someone who is coming to come and sleep with you over, or someone who is going to come and take you out and all. So I begged one of the girls in charge one day to allow me buy airtime on the phone to call. So I did call my dad, and my dad was really bitter And he said the only way he knows I can get out of that place is for me to find my way to the Nigerian embassy and tell them that I want to come back home. So I waited for 3 days to actually get that report, because he didn't know what to do at that point. He said, okay, can I call you back? So I said, I don't know, but I'll try and talk to the person in charge of this phone so that whenever you call, they give me the call to answer, which was what actually happened. And somehow, I don't know how they got to know, but they found out that I called the Nigerian embassy and they beat hell out of my life. They beat hell, everybody in the house. Plus, at that time, my burger wasn't in Libya at that time. She was in Nigeria. It was the husband that was at home then. The husband beat me. All the girls in the house beat me. So I wanted to run away. Oh, I'm trying to be smart and this and that. After all, they knew that from the very first day I came, the woman was calling me a virus because she knows that I'm kind of smart. I will try to play smart. So from that time, they locked me out from phone. They stopped allowing me go out. It was I can't start recounting experiences, day-to-day activities, how I felt. After a while, I started gaining confidence, like, no, even if I foolishly allowed myself into this, I should be able to still bring myself out of it. So I changed my attitude and started being very smart. I called up as much information as I could. I got to, I became very nice. Tell me, you see, when you're ready to leave this place. Some guys went as far as asking, okay, madam, how much is this girl's money? Let's pay. She would intentionally double the money and make them run away. So when she did that the first time, the second time, I just knew that, okay, so this woman is actually being wicked. But not to worry, I'm actually still going to live here. So when it was about 1 year and 5 months, I sat down one day and calculated how much I had paid, minus all the subtraction. If you do anything, she'll beat you and subtract your money. Maybe 50 dinars, maybe 100. If you quarrel with anybody, maybe 200 dinars. If you fight, maybe 500 dinars and all. So by the time I calculated and I saw that the money had gotten up to like 5,000 dinars, which was actually what that man told me. He said normally it's supposed to be 2,500 dinars, but burgers are always wicked. They want to collect even double of that. So sometimes you have to pay up to like 5,000 to 6,000 dinars before they will let you go. And some will still not let you go, except you fight for your freedom. So when I calculated, and I had calculated about 7,000 dinars, I was like, okay, I think my time here is up. And then I started asking for freedom. She initially refused and said that I was not done paying her. So I said, okay. So in 2016, when she was going to come to Nigeria in September, she gave me freedom in August. That was 1 year and 8 months. She said, okay, that now I am free to work for my own money. But whatever money you're working, the same way they were splitting in two, it's just that this other half now, instead of them collecting it, they'll give it to you. Sometimes they may not even give it to you. They'll tell you to keep it with them. Maybe you want to send some money to Nigeria. So I said, okay, no, that I didn't want to keep it with them, that I actually wanted to live there. She said, I cannot live there until she comes back. I have to wait for her to come back to Libya because she had had a new child and she wanted to come home. I said, okay. So throughout that month, that September, I kept having dreams that if I don't leave that place, I probably might not have my life again. The dream came like about 5 to 6 times, and then I just summoned courage to open up to the husband, to tell him that I think I'm very sick and I want to go take care of myself. This is about 1 year and 9 months now. From the day one up until now, I worked every day and slept nothing more than 3 to 4 hours that I needed to take care of myself. And he understood with me because several times in between, I had fallen sick, like so bad that at some point it took drips to like resuscitate me back and all. And the man also knew that I was very, very hardworking. Like at the point, he would always tell the wife, stop beating this girl. Like, you need to stop, even if you're beating every other person, but you see this one, stop beating her. And the next thing is, she will say, oh, okay, so now you're sleeping with my husband is fighting for you, this, that. I know you are hardworking, but you must be sleeping with my husband for him to be fighting me to stop beating you. And then she will intensify whatever thing she was doing. So, but I kept bearing them up. At that point, I made up my mind. So there's this Ghanaian guy who had already told me that whenever I'm ready, that he had an apartment he doesn't really stay in, that he goes to the village to work. Sometimes he doesn't come home 2-3 months, that he could give his space up for me to stay there, take care of myself. So when I did mention to him that I wanted to go and that I was sick, he did say, okay, that I should call the wife and tell her, which I did. And then she was like, so I cannot wait for her to come back. I told her that no, I can't wait, that I'm very, very sick and I needed to go take care of myself. She said, okay, I should hand over the account to the husband and I can leave, which I did. That was in October 2016. I did that in October 2016. In November, sorry, that was November 2016. I did that in November 2016. I had barely stayed a month in the new house where I was staying. I'd stayed a month and I was taking treatment, eating well and all that. And I heard she came back. She did actually call me to come and cook for her, but I refused going. And then on the 2nd of January in 2017, there was a massacre in the garage. The massacre was bloody. I think they were counting 300 bodies and they were still counting as at the time we got the news. The bombing and from where I was, it's not so far a distance, it's a bit far. We could hear the bombs, we could hear the gunshots. Part of the things we face like every day, you don't sleep, like gunshots. There are some bombs that you practically feel like the house is going to be uprooted from the ground. There was a day that we were running and a stray bullet passed by my side, brushed my leg. Like, I don't know how I skipped. I don't know how I skipped, but you know, it was just God that was just protecting me all through. And at that point in January, when that massacre happened, like 6 girls in that house actually died. And for me, I felt, oh, this is God just saving me. I guess this is what God was talking to me about when I kept seeing those dreams, and I made up my mind I was going to just go back home. Um, 2 months out of there, I called a friend and told her that if there was a way she could help me find money, I needed to come back home. And she was the one that told me about the voluntary return, that I needed to find my way to the UN's office or whichever way and all that. So I remembered contacting the Nigerian embassy. So I did keep the number. So I then asked questions because I was now going to a church. I then asked questions and they said, okay, that I needed to get to the IOM office. I had challenges locating them in the first place, but eventually I got to the IOM office and then they gave me a date to come back to visit. I did drop all my information and then they said, okay, that in 2 weeks' time I should go to the Nigerian embassy to go get a travel document. And after getting a travel document, they will not let me know when to come back and I'll be ready to go to Nigeria. So that was all, and up until then I just kept managing, kept believing God that it was going to work well, and eventually it did work well, and that was how I came back to Nigeria August 28th in 2017. And for me, that was the best decision I could make, though it was painful that I just went to suffer my life out for almost 3 years and no gain, nothing, and then I'm back having to come back empty-handed. And up until today, both the travel agent, both the guy that introduced me to the travel agent and the lady none of them has been found. And life hasn't been easy getting back to my feet. Like, I was in bad depression for like almost 2 years. It was really bad coming back to see that, okay, first of all, I have lost money, I have lost friends, I have lost business, and then having to resume my motherly duties almost immediately because children wouldn't hear, oh, I had a bad experience. And then having to reintegrate back into the community, it was really difficult. Like, it just took the grace of God, and it took my kind of strong personality to just keep resuscitating me, and I just kept believing that I'll definitely be who I really wanted to be. I didn't really need to think about the pain, but then the lesson can never be forgotten. The experience can never be forgotten. The trauma, the pain, and everything can never be forgotten. But then one thing can be done, which is moving ahead and making use of all the experiences. And then I did find answers to my quest as to why people did trafficking as a business. And I think that apart from poor economy, some people are just ignorant and they don't really care. They just can do anything just to make money.
Heisey Designs is a fashion accessory label that specializes in the design and creation of handcrafted bags and footwear. I knew I was going to do something in fashion. I didn't know what exactly it was going to be, but I knew I would be in fashion. If it used to be the cleaner in fashion, whatever, but I have to be in fashion. When we started off with just strictly bag making. But then you get people say, oh, can I get a matching shoe? And then over time, people say, oh, I would like to give my boyfriend a wallet, but I want it with Ankara or something. So over time, we had to listen to our customers and infuse their ideas into our brand. Okay, we wanted something with the African touch, with the Nigerian feel. We make leather bags. But if I'm making a leather bag and I put it in a store, if you don't know Heisey Designs is Nigerian, you probably think it's a foreign bag. So what's the point of promoting something that is not, if you look at, you can't link it to Africa, you can't link it to Nigeria. Wanted something to promote Africa, wanted something to promote Nigeria. We also want to empower our artisans here. So that's why we keep our content local, raw materials local, production local. We still get a lot of people from around the world ordering from our website. So I believe it's because of what we've built, the brand we've built over time that still speaks for us. In the last 3 years, we've done over 10,000 items. We've sold over 10,000 items to both corporate clients, retail clients, and wholesale clients.
At least your treacherous body would have been manure for the motherland.
Listen to the words of a corpse. You cannot win this war.
My production career started off practically by some form of divine intervention. I work in TV production, and I've done that in advertising for over 20 years. I do storytelling as well. I do narrative. I've done films, TV series, etc. I taught myself to draw, and that meant 4 hours of sketching every day, minutely competent. Where people will say this doesn't suck, you actually have to practice.
For God's sake, Emeka, we don't even have enough guns or food. What were you thinking? If you and Uzogu had not unleashed your unique brand of madness last January, we wouldn't be swimming in Biafran blood. It was a revolution!
I was one of my uncles, and he got me a job in, then it was Vanguard newspapers in Apapa. And I got to meet all my heroes because in those days, I knew every cartoonist of every Nigerian publication by name because I would always look for the signature. Advertising was obviously the way to go. English then, if you're doing English, you're either going to be a teacher or something. I was like, no, this is a cool industry. This industry is really cool. It's really being paid to be creative. I was sent around the agency to learn every aspect of advertising. And when I got to TV production, the then head of TV production of ESO and you, then Mr. Greg Odutayo, said to me, okay, I want him. So he just made a request. There are many highlights. I've won awards for films I've made, TV series I've done. But let me just jump forward. The most recent thing I've done I'm extremely proud of is being one of the 3 directors on MTV Sugar, Niger. Then you have to learn. So when I came into production, I was always asking questions. So I was on a quest to know why this visual image was better than this visual image. And that got me into studying and learning about production. It helps to be always focused on what will make you win. There's a very healthy sense of motivating yourself to always get things right. Make sure your work is up to standard. It resembles anything else across any other platform across the world. The second thing is it must have your identity. It must have your strong cultural identity.
On the Justice Court, the plaintiff is asking the court to compel her husband to be responsible for the upkeep of their 3 children.
I noticed because your claim here is, negligence of duty towards his children. And he's claiming that up to the time when we changed the school of the children.
It's a lie. Early 2023, we discovered that a guy was sexually molesting my daughter in the house. It was that bad that my daughter was sleeping on the bed. The boy, a 17-year-old boy, then my daughter was 10, came into the house, climbed on her. And I called him, I told him. He didn't do anything about it. He just called the father of the boy and told the father of the boy. I was looking, nothing was happening.
This life is not all the time it will be sweet. Whenever it's a little bit,
Then there are challenges.
when there's challenges, we go
To face it.
face it. But when it's sweet, happening, when it's happening, nobody hears our voice. So
So he said, I knew. I don't know. I don't know anything.
Just wait.
that's nice.
On this issue, because it's something that have to be resolved. It's beyond what we have before the courts. I can see your face has changed. And you are older. I want you to handle this in a very matured manner. Do you understand me? I'll refer to the 2 of you to professional marriage counselor. This pain has to be healed so that the 2 of you can co-parent very well. And at the same time, raise all these children in such a manner that there will not be empty or division between all the children.
And as I'm talking now, as I'm talking, possibly that the younger one now, they will be with the senior one, if I'm not mistaken. She's the one that tried to.
That's why I said
So,
you see,
what for?
the things you have seen to come to that conclusion. I want you to express it to a professional.
You provide for one, you did not provide for the other.
No, that's not his position.
Don't,
That is the position. I am in it.
You
I am the one that is in it.
You know what?
Your Honor,
Yes.
Your Honor, please, man. You no need to drag this in so much as it's already been, she said, I'm not taking responsibility of the children, right?
I've not gone there. We've not even reached that stage.
If
We haven't.
no, instead of saying we are dragging the issue, because now that I'm not responsible or whatever, with respect, ma. If you can allow my children for me, then I'll take that, because all these things that you are doing to, because I will not.
You know what?
Please,
I
I don't.
You know what the position of the law is when it comes to the age of 13, 11, and 7. I'm correct.
Yes.
They are underage. They are underage. So the court will only allow her to have custody at this age, but you must always have access. You know, I've not even come to that position of where we're talking about denying him access to the
He's
children.
lying.
Because you expect him to be giving you up.
Am I lying because of that one?
He's lying.
To the extent I go, that was the day I want to have a Thanksgiving in the church. I told her that I want the children to come to me. She said, no, even I'll go and meet her in the church. She shot on me in outside of the church. I just, please.
You have any father? You have another father for those children?
He's lying.
No.
How many times?
I don't want to hear that. I don't want you to repeat that statement.
Their mother not allowed them to come to me. So what do you want? What for? So now expecting me to put hand to my pocket and give you money.
If you do
that
the
possible?
things you ought to do, I don't
Who
think
does that?
there is need for all this. When I left, I called you. I said we brought these children to this world together.
Okay,
let us see how we can co-parent. How much can you afford to bring? You said because I said I'm no longer interested in marriage, I should not come and ask you for money. I went with my pastor to his pastor to go and ask. They called him. Okay, the pastor said, with all this money this woman said she has spent is a lot of money. You must take part in it. When we got there, he told the pastor that he has heard that any amount he has. My sister was there. My elder sister said, any amount is not.
Were you there?
I was there. My elder sister was, any amount is not, it's nothing. 10 naira is any amount. 100,000 is any amount. Mention what you can give them, if it is weekly or monthly.
You know what? Just calm down. I want the two of you to calm down.
That day was talking.
I said,
the children were helping me in the shop.
Just hear me. I don't want you to ask you to just keep
Let
quiet.
them come and do Thanksgiving.
You have to calm down.
When you're helping you in the shop, why are you asking for money now? You're helping you in the shop. Abi? You're asking for money.
I'm just helping your life.
I beg. You're helping yourself.
I'm helping your life.
Yourself.
Okay. I want you to be quiet.
Whenever I hear you,
keep quiet. I don't want to hear anything from the two of you again. They are behaving like babies.
The plaintiff, Annette Abimbola, said her husband has a child before they got married, and somehow he has been able to fund the schooling of their child in a private university. She requested that her husband also find means to pay for schooling of the children she has for him. The defendant, Ayodele Emmanuel Adegun, claims that nothing about his first son is hidden to Annette. He alleges that Annette changed their children's schools without his consent and takes decision to do whatever pleases her but wants financial support from him. Judge Fumi continues to mediate in this matter.
My daughter that was in Badagry, that was in a boarding school, I had to withdraw because I couldn't pay. Bring money, refused to bring money.
Adegun, you want the child back in that school?
Now, as if that, I know that if you want to go back to that's back to that school now, be as if that you want to start at fresh.
It's a new session, not this session. Let her round up this session where she is, so that she will start the next session from that school. What is it?
He cannot bear the financial burden. He's just making noise.
You just
because
keep quiet.
hostel requirement.
You have to watch what you are saying. Just keep quiet. Let's resolve this. Who was paying the school fees before? Are you the one paying?
Are you the one paying the school fees?
He pays school fees.
Are you the one paying? What are the things? Why are you telling me?
I buy all that things.
And then you still keep buying the other things.
All the
necessary more than 70,000
are you the one responsible for it?
That is not your problem. He's the one paying. If he says he can pay, you wait. Let him round. Stop interjecting him. Let him finish. Let him tell me whether he can pay or not. Just keep quiet for now. Let me listen to him.
We're talking.
I said keep quiet. Adegun, I'm listening to you. And don't interject me, otherwise I'll send you out of the courtroom. When we're through and I need to ask you to come inside. Stop interjecting. Let's get to the root of this. When you came here, you mentioned earlier on, he can't pay school fees. He said he's ready to pay. You said you don't mind the child going back to the former school and in the boarding house. He agreed to that as well.
You don't want this girl to go back to that school. That's why you want her to stay with her shop, with her in the shop. that's what she wants.
She didn't say that.
That's what she wants.
But she said she's ready to let the girl go back to the former school in the boarding house.
Why did you remove this girl from the school from the beginning when I started?
Look, I told you, whatever has happened, I'm not interested. It's from this point forward. You can't be having issues and be using the children's life and future to play prank up and down just because the two of you are having issues with yourself. It doesn't work that way. Now, the school where that same child is right now, do you know how much she's paying there?
Which
No
one?
school fees.
Which
It's
one?
free.
Which one?
It's free school.
Yes.
So it's just the boarding house that will be incurred if the child goes back to the other one. She said where the child is now is free. So for me, you've both agreed that the first child could go back to the boarding house there, which is okay. So, Adegun, as I said earlier on, let's know what the procedure, whether it's something that can be worked out and everything. That's pertaining to that. Then the other two children, their school is free as well.
No.
So how much are you paying right now?
The eldest one that's in secondary school now pays 24,000. The
The
youngest,
second one,
yes.
24. The last
the
one,
youngest one is paying 43,000.
the youngest is paying for 3,000. How much were you paying for them? Where they were before? The middle and the last.
Middle, you are paying 25,000.
For the two of them. How much were you paying for the two of them?
Two of them is 50,000.
For the two of them now, how much?
67,000.
50 to 67, right?
They were both in primary school. Then now one has gone to.
I understand. 50 to 67, the margin is not much. You know why I said that? You know? Do you know the school there?
Yes.
You do. You go to the school directly.
Like last time for one of these. This one for February.
That's the new school.
A new school for the
Where
second
they
one.
are now?
Second one.
Where the second one is right now?
Yes.
Okay, this is the 24. He has paid for the new school. He paid on 21st February. Show it to her.
The reason why I came.
No problem. It's sorted out. How about the third child? Give it to her. Let her see.
I've seen it. I received it.
You received, okay.
Uh,
Your boarding house, from what we've agreed on,
yes.
which is okay. 11 is the one you have paid for,
Yes.
right? So it's only the one for 7
Yes.
that we have outstanding now.
Yes. Yes.
So I ask you, why haven't you paid for the 7? Because I noticed we've agreed on the first. We've sorted out the second because you've paid already. So now, the 7-year-old, what is the position on that? That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, last one. The reason why I because when he changed the school without my consent.
Okay. Now, you know what? You are angry with her, but I don't want you to visit that on your son. Do you understand me? Because if you don't pay, if she cannot pay, you know the party to have on the child. I wouldn't want that boy to start repeating class because of school fees. Thank you. So help me sort that one too. Do you understand? For the third one. So we know the children they have all been taken care of pertaining to the school. So what arrangement do you have for their medical, if they have any? Do you have a hospital you want them to be going that you want to provide? Are you on HMO? No. You're working for yourself.
Yes.
Do you have any hospital that you want to give? Anytime you go to the, you know what, Adego, pertaining to the medical bill, are you listening to me?
I'm with you, ma'am.
If they have any issue medically or on the medical ground,
Yes.
if there's any issue, and you take them to the hospital, which hospital were you using when you were together?
General Hospital.
What do you say? General Hospital. So when she goes, you go to the nearest public hospital. And if there's payment to be made, Adegun, you pay to the hospital. You have the choice. You can send the money to her. But this court will always insist that you pay to the hospital. But it's the arrangement between you. You can make payment. You pick the bills. That's the ultimate. You have something to say, Annette?
Anytime the children are sick, when you call him, you say I should go and give them lime. I don't.
No, I just said, we
the-
just agreed now you
the
go to
reason
the
why I
nearest
came
hospital.
here- The reason why I came is, let us come to a concession on how much will he be bringing for the children's upkeep. Is it monthly or weekly?
No.
The children, they are
No,
eating.
you can't. You want to be a judge in your own cause.
No, the
Then
children
go
are
ahead.
eating.
I'll sit down. Give me judgment that you
No,
want.
Your Honor, the children are eating. Is it not going to be part of their...
How many things have we addressed? Have I given my judgment? Have you given my ruling?
That was why I came.
So, should I ask him not to touch school fees, not to touch medical?
No.
And let me tell you, he will not pay you. He will not pay school fees through you. I've never given that.
I don't even want it.
He will not pay medical through you. It's not possible. He will not pay for your rent where you are.
He knows that I don't need
grant
his
that.
money.
For upkeep, you don't need his money. So why are you here?
Need his money. But let him.
So why are we here?
Tomorrow they are going to say these children are his.
Let me tell you one thing. I don't
they are
waste
going
my
to say these children are
time.
his.
I've spent about an hour on this case. If you know you don't need his money, you want me to throw out the case.
should just take
I'm
care
at
of
a
his
point
children.
of I can throw it out. You don't want his money because all I can see here for me is about money.
He should
Money
take care
for
of
the
his
children's
children. It's
upkeep
just-
and maintenance.
That's just it, not for me.
He should do what?
He should.
Of course, if you
Because
can't,
that's why I came.
the law will not ask him to give you money for your own upkeep. He's
I
not
don't
responsible
even
for
need-
you.
I don't even need his
You are
money for my
responsible
upkeep.
for yourself.
When we were together, he wasn't taking care of me.
I don't
So,
Naturu.
The two of you are just.
you come here to
they are
lie
just,
for no reason. Why are you
what do I
telling
call
lies?
you?
If you know you have done the right thing, there's no need to lie.
Bimbola, you want your husband to take care of your children's school fees,
Yes, Your Honor.
medical bill,
Yes, sir.
upkeep.
Yes.
How many things did I mention?
3 things. Ma'am.
How many have I addressed? Have I concluded?
No. Ma'am.
You have to calm down. You have to calm down. And wherever the children are, the two of you should be able to have access to them in school. You can go to the school, and you too, if a school you've taken them to, you introduce him to them as the father of the children so that I can have them. Or will you want him to come and check them in the house?
He goes to their school. I did not deny him from seeing the children. He goes to their
Do you
school.
see them in school?
I do.
Then, holiday period, how do you handle that?
The other time, the two of them went to spend holiday with him. Where is now the denial? I said I deny him access.
They come for holiday,
Not holiday. Ma.
not holiday.
Not for holiday.
They just come for weekend.
Not for holiday.
For what?
It, during that time, for even though it was, we fought before they are able to come.
You know what? Leave that. You see what I want to say? Bimbola, Annette, you know what? Adegun, hold on. Bimbola, you have the first choice. Holiday period, do you want to have them for the first half of the holiday?
If they want to stay with him, let them.
Throughout.
If they want to stay throughout, let them.
Come abo, come abo, come abo.
Let them
Let
stay.
them be
The
coming.
only thing I
Come
don't
abo.
want is he should
Let
not
them-
take my children to any relative and leave them there.
Let them come.
You should not go and take them to.
He should not take them to any of his relatives and leave them there. Let them be with him.
He's not saying
This is
that.
my take.
You know what?
Let them come.
You know.
Ale.
You know what, Adegun?
Yes,
You are the father. She's the mother. Do you understand me? The welfare of your children is paramount.
Very, very.
I don't expect either of you to expose your children to danger anywhere. You understand what I'm saying? And I'll tell you one thing. If he travels with the children to his relative place and they all spend the night there and leave the following day, because you can't ask, As much as your own people are the relative, his own people are relative too. But what you are saying that don't leave them there. If they are with you, let them live with you. Do you understand what I'm
I
saying?
understand. I understand.
It's okay by you.
Very, very.
You just want to have the children. You are looking forward to having the children with you. Bibola,
I want to please let him understand that when the children are with him, there are certain things he does not say. He told my first daughter that it was the decision I took that scattered his life. I just decided I don't want to continue to suffer.
you know what I want to say?
That's number one. Number two, last week, my 7-year-old boy told me that because I'm punishing the father, that is why God is punishing me. Where is that coming from? He said the father told.
I'm the one told him.
That's what the boy said. 7 years old. That's what I had no reason to lie. They are my children. I have no reason to lie and bring them into it.
You know, I'm glad this came out because now, without you even saying it, I mean, without us getting to this point, I know that the two of you need professional guidance. You need it. So the two of you have to go there. It's not for you. It's for the children. I've said it before. Go to the professional marriage counselor. 3 children upkeep. How much do you want to be giving? I don't want to. You know the size of your pocket. You know how much you've been spending on them. You were both living together before. You have an idea of how much it will cost. You know the reality of Nigeria right now, where all of us are, because you are feeding. So, welfare of the children.
Actually, I know how things it is right now. At the same time, not that my own business also come up as well as, but I believe, to me, with God everything is possible. But I will not promise what I will not be able to. That at the end of the day, see what you said, do. I might say it might be a little thing, maybe in future when things come up. Right. But for now,
all this prophecy or sermon, I don't know what it's all about. Ask a direct question. You know what? This is how much I can afford.
I'll give you 10,000.
Pardon? How much?
10,000.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
You know what? Wait, Adegun.
Yes, ma'am.
Abimbola Adegun, you are both Yoruba. So apparently, you are not. How come you are Abimbola? Annette, no problem. What kind of food do you make for the children? Or you used to cook for him? You don't prepare Yoruba food for him. You don't prepare amala and all this stuff. He's going to give you this and this. You have 3 children. Let me write out what you want the 3 of them to feed in the morning. Put the price in front. Afternoon, just do 1 week. Once we have for 1 week, she can repeat that on weekly basis throughout the month. 10,000 naira. You need this and this, or you want us to discuss again?
I will make it 30,000. But for now, on that, because
that's average of 300 naira per day. So 100 naira in the morning, 100 naira in the afternoon, 100 naira in the night.
not that or anything, I'm just playing. Let me start with that first. Because I don't want to.
We want to start with 30. For how many months you want to pay to 30? And after the 30, at what point are you increasing and to how much?
Let me play for the first 3 months first. From July, let me make it like 50-50.
You start paying 50,000 naira per month.
Ma?
You start paying 50,000 naira per month thereafter. Is that acceptable to you?
No.
Why?
I spend 40,000 and more in a week.
Per week.
Yes. You should be able to at least give us for 1 week.
You know what? By 3 months' time, you'll start giving 50,000 naira. So it's taking care of the medical. It's taking care of the school fees. Whatever is going to give you for the maintenance of the children, I'll expect you to still add something to it because you are equally working. Only that I don't expect it to be the same. But if along the line you find out that his source of income has increased, his lifestyle has gone up there, do you understand? And you know he should be able to afford much more than that. Anything to do with the children is subject to review anytime until they become an adult.
He can afford it. He's just saying he does not want. He told me he's not working, that he does not have money.
When you were
If I
living
play to
together,
wherever he
when you were
play,
living together, how much was he giving you for
he
upkeep?
was giving us 5,000 naira for a week.
5,000 naira.
When he was bringing money, he was giving us 5,000 for a
So
week.
that's 20,000 naira per month
Yes.
that I was giving you.
Yes.
And you were buying food stuff in the house.
When we are even buying food stuff, we go and buy.
But you
on
were
the
managing
counter.
with 20,000 naira then. And he wants to be giving you 50,000 naira now. And you are still
Then
complaining.
the week of rice was 300. Now it's 1.5.
Oh,
That's why I said you still
the
have
bag
to
of rice that you
subsidize.
buy in the house.
You still have to subsidize. And you know, I said this. If you have serious issues, I said you can always come back for review.
Judge Fumi helps both parties to reach amicable settlement and encourages them to use the services of a counselor on co-parenting. After the break, Judge Fumi rules.
This is my judgment. The two parties, you both agreed that the first child of the marriage will be placed back in the former school and the boarding house at the completion of this session. And the dad will take care of the school fees henceforth from that point in time. And for the second born, that is 11 years old, the dad will keep on paying the school fees as it is. And they will pay the school fees for the last child of the marriage as well. With regard to the medical bills, the mother will notify their dad when they have medical issues. And if there is an emergency, you pick up the payments to the public hospital unless you decide to take them. You know, something might warrant you're taking them to the private hospital. That's at your own call. You pay directly to the hospital. That's the father. And with regards to the upkeep, you are going to be paying the sum of 30,000 for April, May, and June 2024. Then from July henceforth, the sum of 50,000 naira. So for the month of April, May, and June, you are going to pay that 30,000 naira. The court will advance 20,000 naira on monthly basis to you for the welfare of that children. That's my judgment.
All right.
Thank you very much.
If your baby daddy is denying paternity of the child to avoid upkeep, or you suspect misattributed paternity situations, submit your case online at www.thejusticescourt.com for a prompt resolution of the matter.
Hello and welcome. I am Emmanuel Olubobokun and this is a news update. Now, Reverend Father Michael Suleiman, who was adopted by his rectory from his rectory in Damba Gusau, Zamfara State, on the 22nd, has been released by his captors. In a video statement, the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, Matthew Kuka, introduced Father Suleiman. In the video, Father Suleiman expressed gratitude for the prayers and support that led to his rescue. Reverend Father Michael Suleiman was abducted in early hours of June 22nd from the rectory of the St. Raymond Catholic Church in Dampe Gusau, where he serves as the parish priest under the Sokoto Catholic Diocese. Now, a vehicle belonging to a local vigilante group in Imo State has been ambushed by unknown gunmen in the Injabel area. Now, according to an eyewitness, the vigilantes were attacked while on a security patrol within the community. The eyewitnesses reported that the 3 vigilantes and a teenager were killed by the assailants who had set up an ambush and opened fire on the security personnel. A stray bullet struck and killed a teenager at the scene. The State Police Command has also condemned the attack and deployed a tactical squad to apprehend the perpetrators. Security has now deteriorated in Imo State with frequent attacks by armed gunmen targeting local vigilante groups. Now, heightened tensions are gripping Rivers State as 2 rival factions of the State Assembly holds parallel legislative sessions. Now, the Victor Okojumbo-led Assembly, loyal to Governor Sim Fubara, convenes in an improvised chamber within the state government complex in Port Harcourt. Meanwhile, the Martin Amewule-led group, aligned with the Nyesom Wike, the Minister of Federal Capital Territory, gathers at the official State Assembly quarters along Abba Road. Now, both factions commenced their respective plenary sessions at 10 a.m. The Okojumbo Assembly is expected to screen a new commissioner nominee, Emmanuel Frank Fubara, while the agenda of the Amewule group remains unclear. Now, this stand follows October 2023 bombing of the main State Assembly complex, which occurred during an alleged attempt by 27 lawmakers loyal to Wike to impeach Governor Fubara. Now, President Bola Tinubu was re-elected as the chairman of the ECOWAS community of West African State, ECOWAS. He was re-elected at the 64th ordinary session of the Authority of Heads of State and Government held at the Presidential Villa in Abuja, Nigeria. Now, after accepting his re-election, President Tinubu appointed the President of Senegal to join in the mediation efforts with Burkina Faso, Niger and Chad. Meanwhile, Tinubu urged ECOWAS members states to fulfill their financial commitment to the regional body. Now, emphasized that substantial financial resources are crucial to operationalize the ECOWAS standby force and to effectively combat terrorism, banditry and violent extremism in the region.
As we move to operationalize the ECOWAS standby force, ESF, in combating terrorism, I must emphasize that the success of this plan requires not only strong political will, but also substantial financial resources. We must, therefore, ensure that we meet the expectations and recommendations set forth by our Ministers of Defense and Finance in order to counter the insecurity and stabilize our region. Member States must make extra commitment on providing resources for stabilizing the region. To this end, I urge ECOWAS to leverage on the capability of the Nigerian National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, which is widely acknowledged as one of the best on the continent. The Nigerian government has decided to declare the NCTC as a regional center.
A non-governmental organization, Education Above All, is calling on the Nigerian government to quell the insurgency ravaging northern Nigeria and establish lasting peace in the region. The group made this appeal during a recent visit to Maiduguri, one of the areas most severely impacted by Boko Haram activities. Details in this report. Education, above all, is dedicated in assisting the displaced individuals affected by the insurgency, providing support to help them reintegrate into society. As part of efforts, the organization has been actively involved in facilitating the return of children to school. In our recent development, representatives from education, above all, paid a visit to the Borno State Government House, where they were warmly welcomed by the Deputy Governor of the state, Umar Kandafo.
I equally just want to say your coming to Borno State is timely because of, we are in our recovery process. And I believe now every, government that is sensitive about the education of children, especially the girl child, need to have collaboration with, organizations like yours. We have a lot of partners now who have been actively involved in the recovery process of the state. Borno State, having been the epicenter of the insurgency, have been so devastated because of the destructions that we have witnessed in the past decade. And we are trying as much as possible to see how we can put up all the facilities that have been destroyed by the insurgency in the state. Seeing what you have done already in the girl child sector.
Of Standard Chartered Bank in Sierra Leone. Oni is a University of Ibadan graduate with a bachelor.
I believe Borno State government will be obliged to work hand in hand with you. We'll give you all the support you needed as a host government to operate in Borno State. And inshallah, we appreciate all the effort that you have been doing to see that the girl child education is something that we prioritize, especially at the period we are in now.
Amina Saidu, a victim of Boko Haram's brutality, shared the terrifying experiences she had witnessed.
It's very difficult for me when the Boko Haram crisis happened in Goza. They attacked Goza, kidnapped my husband. I don't know, up to now, I don't know where his whereabouts. We flee for our life. We flee to Maiduguri. We came and settled in an IDP camp called Bakasi camp. After some time, we left the camp. I don't know what to eat. My small child has to carry a truck, push water, selling water to feed me and my other children. I met a lady, Sa'a and Abdullahi. They works in within the community. They goes to my house, my place. They says they needed children that have not been enrolled in school, children that are not going to school. So that was how they registered my children. They took them to school, and they also gave me money, about 100,000, 150.
The representative of education, above all, from Kenya, conveyed the group's message highlighting the detrimental impact of insurgency on both the fiscal infrastructure and the overall peace and stability of a nation.
Some of these children are in the most difficult to reach areas. Apart from the usual barriers that we find children having, like lack of access to a school, poverty, geographical issues. In addition, in Nigeria, we have the conflict in the northern states. So most of the work that we are doing currently with the Street Child is in the 3 states of Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa. And this is where some of the highest number of conflicts have been reported and displacements because of armed groups attacking on children. So the motivation for our partners is to reach these displaced children who have no other alternative. So Education Above All works with partners who are already on the ground and they understand the context. Effort that needs to be undertaken by everybody, from the government, from the civil society, from communities, because the attacks against education are everywhere. And as you say, Qatar, through Education Above All Foundation, working with the UN, has been championing the protection against education attacks. And on the 9th of September, we have this international day that we mark to protect education against attack. So the coalition, the Global Coalition for the Protection of Addiction Against Attack, has reported in the last 2 years in Nigeria alone.
Education Above All's visit emphasizes the critical importance of peace in northern Nigeria. By joining forces, the government, NGOs, and the international community can establish a more prosperous future for the children and all inhabitants of the area.
Now, the Joint Action Committee of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Social Institutions has directed its members to commence a nationwide protest on Tuesday. This decision comes after the federal government's unsuccessful attempt to address the union's grievances regarding 4 months of withheld salaries. In a statement jointly signed by SANU National President Comrade Mohammed Aruna Ibrahim and his NASA counterpart Peters Adeyemi in Abuja, the union leadership accused the federal government of failing to demonstrate a convincing commitment to paying withheld salaries and resolving other outstanding grievances of the two new unions. The unions have expressed frustrations over what they perceive as the government's disregard for their financial and welfare concerns, and they have planned a series of industry actions of a commitment. The federal government yesterday frowned at what it called irresponsible claims on national security and the Samoa Agreement it signed with the European Union, vowing to seek redress in a court of law against any media organization believed to be publishing misleading stories. It specifically lamented that a media report on recent signing of the EU Pact, which claimed was done to promote lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender and queer, LGBTQ, and was not factional, now describing it as sensational. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris, who said this at the National Press Center, Abuja, not Vanguard, for promoting such claims.
Falsely accusing the government of signing a deal to promote LGBTQ. We found that despicable and wicked because the allegation is nowhere in the document signed on behalf of the federal government.
Now, go on a quick commercial break, and when we return, the news continues.
Picture this. You're sitting at a table, ready to indulge in a mouth-watering meal. Stop. For many of us, it is hard to resist the temptation, especially when it comes to enjoying a juicy beef dish. But have you ever stopped to think about the impact of your food choices on the greater good? Our food choices have a great impact on others. The beef industry is one of the leading contributors to deforestation. As trees are cleared to make way for cattle ranching, it not only disrupts the delicate balance of ecosystems, but also contributes to climate change. We can make a difference with our choices. It does not mean we all have to become vegans overnight. Imagine enjoying fish and poultry a few times a week, indulging in beef just once a month, and filling our plates with plenty of plant-based goodness. Every little bit counts. And even small reductions in our intake can make a huge impact on the climate. By making smarter food choices, we're not only taking care of ourselves, but also the planet we call home. Remember, the choices we make today lead to a better tomorrow.
Now, straight we move on to entertainment news. John Cena, titan in the world of professional wrestling, has set a date for his retirement from the ring. The 16-time WWE champion made the announcement at the Money in the Bank event in Toronto, Canada. Cena revealed that 2025 will be his final year in WWE competition, as they will participate in the Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania 41, which will be held in Las Vegas, before stepping away from in-ring competition. The wrestler also appeared sporting merchandise for our John Cena Farewell Tour 2025, by acknowledging the current boom in WWE's popularity. Cena reflected on his long career, which began in 2002, as he spoke about challenges faced by wrestlers, particularly during periods of less mainstream attention. Though Cena transitioned to a part-time role in 2018 to pursue a successful film career, has expressed his desire to remain involved with the company beyond his in-ring retirement, particularly with the upcoming movie of Raw to Netflix in January. And that's the news updates. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel, Pulse of Africa and Pulse of Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us on Limix and Limix.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. I am Emmanuel Olubobokun. Many thanks for watching.
Hello and welcome to VOA's Red Carpet. I'm Jackson Vunganye. This week on the Red Carpet, we look at the legacy of Ethiopian singer Hachalu Hundessa, who died 4 years ago. And we catch up with Angolan athlete Andre Matias to talk about how he's preparing for the upcoming Olympic Games. Those stories plus, it was a night of celebration at this year's BET Awards. Let's get on with the show. Ethiopian jazz icon Mulatu Astatke performed recently in front of a sold-out crowd at Howard Theater in Washington, D.C. Astatke is widely known as the godfather of Ethio jazz, a genre he helped create over 60 years ago. The multi-instrumentalist leads his band while playing vibraphone and conga drums, instruments that he introduced into Ethiopian popular music. Asha, Victoria Monet, and Tyler were some of the big winners of the 2024 BET Awards, which took place at the Peacock Theater in Los Angeles. Hosted by actress Taraji P. Henson, the awards that celebrate Black excellence featured performances from Lauryn Hill, Will Smith, Megan Thee Stallion, Ice Spice, Childish Gambino, and many others. South African Amapiano Afropop singer Tyler won 2 awards for Best International Act and Best New Artist. During her acceptance speech, Tyler dedicated her award to African artists that paved the way for her success, saying, "I just want to dedicate this one to Africa. You know, I want to dedicate this one to all the African superstars before me that didn't get these opportunities that I'm getting right now," she said. Makazi, another South African singer, also nabbed a BET Award in the Viewer's Choice Best New International Act category. Nigerian singer Thames won the Dr. Bobby Jones Best Gospel Inspirational Prize. Her song, Me and You, beat out gospel powerhouses Kirk Franklin, CeCe Winans, and Maverick City Music. This June the 29th marked 4 years since the death of Hachalu Hundessa, the iconic Ethiopian singer, songwriter, and civil rights activist who was known for both his powerful music and messages of peace. Seattle-based musician and artist Yadesa Bojia, who produced a tribute hit song to Hachalu's life, talks with me about Hachalu's legacy, how his life and death left an indelible mark on his country. His legacy continues to resonate in the hearts of Ethiopians, particularly the Oromo people, for whom he was a passionate advocate. Let's check it out. At the time of his death, 34-year-old Hachalu Hundessa was one of the most popular musicians in Ethiopia. He started his activism as a high school student. At the age of 17, he was arrested for his civil rights activism and spent 5 years in prison, where he started writing songs weaving themes of romance with the yearnings for political freedom. Yadesa Bojia, an Ethiopian musician.
Hachalu is simply one of the most interesting and more impactful artists that rolled in East Africa, or Africa as a whole. Hachalu was in prison before. Hachalu will also be killed, as we already know, sadly. But what makes him different from a lot of other musicians and artists is his clarity and understanding of human rights, and using his voice to speak, and using his art to speak for millions. He actually died for that cause.
His murder sparked massive protests in Ethiopia. Young people took to the streets demanding justice. Yadesa paid tribute to his legacy through music.
I was lucky enough to meet him multiple times. He called me my big brother. Last text I got from him is like, how you do, my big brother, and send me some art and sketch that he did. He's always looked, he called me big brother for some reason, but we are from the same area. When we go out, so my families know each other, and I know his father and his mom. So I met him multiple times. I never get a chance to collaborate with him, not even I think about collaborating with him. But after he passed away, I made a single called Hachalu for him. In a crazy way, people in Japan and places like that, when they listen to this music that I did for them, I also are able to get a chance to submit his work to the Grammys and able to feature him on the Billboard magazine and things like that. So I try to my best to enlighten his life, to continuously talk about him, so the memory that they want to die never dies. It's actually the one of Africa's bright and shining actor and musician and artist that passed away and across African history.
And 4 years down since his death, how do you see his music influencing the current social and political landscape in Ethiopia?
Well, what Hachalu did is he showed how music and art can be used to express people's feelings. Because of that, a lot of young Oromo musicians are using his legacy to fill that gap. It's a big shoes to fill, but they're all trying to do it.
Much of the stand-up comedy in the United States is rooted in the country's freedoms of speech. In Southern California, that attracts immigrant comedians eager to express their opinions and make people laugh. Jinia Dulo has our story.
Every time I tell people I'm Cambodian, they're like, Samoan?
Cambodian comedian Lin Sun came to the United States when she was 6 months old. Growing up in Southern California was tough, she says. When she became a single mom, it became even tougher.
Y'all ready for my show? Come on!
Then she discovered stand-up comedy.
My dad was abusive, you know what I mean? And he didn't know any better. It's just how it was back in, Cambodia, I guess. The men were very masculine and didn't know how to control it. That's how I grew up, and I use that in my material. And I take that and make it funny. And it's gold because people like it when they connect with you, when you're real, when you're authentic, when you're yourself. Cambodia, the refugee camp with the starving people. Yes, I'm starving.
University of Southern California stand-up comedy historian Wayne Federman says comedy in America has immigrant roots.
The reason that immigrants and the sons and daughters of immigrants are drawn to stand-up comedy is because, one, it's a way of telling your story, not just, oh, I'm just part of this crazy wave of people that came here. It's like, I have a specific point of view. And the whole idea of stand-up comedy is your version of the world.
Federman says U.S. freedoms of speech also draw immigrant comedians. Alexander Nizlobin is a popular Russian comedian who fled to the United States after criticizing Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
In the United States, you could have problem for your comedy if you're doing strong jokes about minorities, about communities, about LGBTQ, something like that. And we know the cases like where a stand-up comedian was cancelled. But you can say anything about politics. In Russia, the opposite. You can say everything about LGBTQ, but don't say jokes about politics.
Nezlobin's group Stand Up LA caters to comedy for Russian-speaking immigrants. Ukrainian refugee Dmitry Adamov found some of the comedian's jokes offensive.
My dad died back in Mariupol, and I couldn't go back there to attend his funeral. And now I can't go there and see my mother and my brother with his family. These jokes right now are not appropriate for me.
Adamov agrees the jokes are free speech, just as he is free to walk out of the show if he is offended, which he did. Jenya Dulo, VOA News, Los Angeles.
After participating in the 2016 Rio de Janeiro Olympic Games, Andre Matias initially planned to put his oars away. However, an opportunity to compete in the African Rowing Championship secured his ticket to Paris. We caught up with him during his morning practice on the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. The Angolan athlete shares his dreams for the upcoming Paris Games with VOA's Mayra de la Salette. Let's check it out.
My name is Andre Matias. I'm 35 years old. I'm a rower from Angola. And Paris 2024 will be my second Olympics. I grew up in Angola and I came to the United States for boarding school. And this is where I learned to row. And in the summers I would go back home and I would row in Luanda. And the summer of my senior year, when I was graduating high school, I was invited to represent Angola at the All-Africa Games in Algeria, and I was the first Angolan rower to race at an international event for Angola. I think that the Olympics for sports, amateur sports like rowing, there's nothing like it. You know, we don't have professional contracts. There's no fame, there's no money, but to be able to be amongst the world's best and compete, every 4 years is truly special. So, in the summer last year when I had this crazy idea is because, I still had a fire in me and I believed that I could still get in a final to be a finalist. And in that final, I just needed to be top 5. And if I could do that, I could be at the Olympics again.
Keeping the focus on just feeling that boat coming underneath us.
A great achievement for me at the Paris Olympics would be to get into Final D or Final E, which would put me in the top 24 at the Olympics, and that's something I'd like to do. In practice, there can be some serenity sometimes. You wake up, and maybe there's a bit of fog on the water, the sun's coming out, a sense of calm, you feel the water rushing under you, but then, another practice, you're doing pieces and feels like your heart's about to explode and your brain's telling you to stop. And certainly in a race, it's a sport that when you look at it from the outside, it looks very, very calm and controlled, but it's just violence. And in the inside, you feel like you're burning alive. So it's not a pleasant experience, but there's a mix of emotions, enjoying your time out on the water, and even enjoying the thrill of racing or when you win, and the sharp contrast, which is, to get faster, to win, you have to be able to push your limits. I want to show my countrymen that anything is possible. We are surrounded at the Olympics by Angolan athletes that are amongst the best in the world, the best in the African continent, and this is something for us to be proud of. You always find new dreams to guide you. Perhaps in my athletic career, perhaps it's come to an end in the traditional sense where you might not see me, at another Olympics, but maybe I can help others in sharing their dream, getting them to fulfill their dreams at the Olympics someday.
Thanks for watching VOA's Red Carpet. I'm Jackson Vunganyi. For more entertainment news, remember to check us out at voaafrica.com. We are also on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Don't forget to like, to share, and to subscribe. Until next time, goodbye everyone. Hello and welcome to the Red Carpet on the Voice of America. I'm Jackson Vunganyi. On today's Red Carpet, we chat with Ethiopian visual artist Heruy Aregawi Gebremariam. His art is a visual diary of the various places he has lived for the past 5 years since leaving his home country. Afrobeat star Rema makes history. His song Calm Down has reached 1 billion on-demand streams. And we visit Johannesburg's Chinatown. We have those stories, plus the Global Citizen Festival has announced headliners for their September concert in New York City's Central Park. Let's get on with the show.
Baby, calm down, calm down. Yo, this your body.
1 billion on-demand streams. That's how many Nigerian singer Rema reached this month, making history with his hit song Calm Down, featuring a remix by Selena Gomez. This makes Rema the first African artist to achieve this milestone, marking a significant accomplishment for Afrobeat music. Music producer Pharrell Williams curated the Louis Vuitton Spring-Summer 2025 show at the Paris Fashion Week. The show was attended by a number of African artists, including Wizkid, Burna Boy, and many others. The show took place in the courtyard of the UNESCO headquarters, with flags of dozens of countries serving as part of the backdrop for the runway. The Global Citizen Festival is returning to New York City's Central Park on September 28, 2024. The festival recently announced the headliners including Doja Cat, Post Malone, Raul Alejandro, and many others. Global Citizen Ambassador Hugh Jackman will host the event, which will also feature appearances by Dr. Jane Goodall, founder of the Goodall Institute, and UN Messenger of Peace and Global Citizen Festival curator Chris Martin of Coldplay. The campaign will support non-profit organizations across the 5 boroughs of New York. Ethiopian visual artist and storyteller Heruy Aregawi Gebremariam has lived in many places since leaving his country to escape a civil war. He's currently curating an exhibit titled Navigating the Now at Ethiopia in Washington, D.C., featuring his own pieces alongside those of artists Aklilu Temesgen and Dereje Demesi. Heruy's work not only serves as a visual diary of his travels to places like Lamu in Kenya, but also an invitation for viewers to contemplate the evolving nature of cultural identity in a globalized world. Let's check it out. Heruy's art is a diary of his travels and experiences. His journey from Ethiopia to various places in the world has been documented on his canvases. One such place that has left a significant mark on him is Lamu in Kenya. The island's unique blend of cultures and architecture have inspired some of his art.
So this series, like part of, especially the 4 works here, are inspired by my stay in Lamu. One of the striking things about the Lamu is beyond the fact that it's a cultural melting pot, it's rich history, good food. They have a unique building technique, which involves mixing corals with lime. Most of the houses in Lamu are white or broken white, and you can have multi-story buildings like narrow alleys, and like these beautiful bougainville flowers, and these old buildings, plus the very refined carpentry, which like you find everywhere, like in the rich people's houses, the poor people's houses, there is always a patterned carved doors.
For Heruy, every new place becomes a chapter in his ongoing story of home. His paintings invite viewers to contemplate what home means, not just as a physical space, but as a feeling, a memory, a connection.
I've been here it's been only 5 months since I made my move to the US. But between the place that I call home in northern Ethiopia, in Tigray, and moving to the US, I've stayed in for more than a year in Kenya. So yeah, the question have been lingering.
What is home to you?
It should be somewhere between, like, it should be an overlap of like feeling safe and as well as feeling like belonging there, right? The idea of home is not just about the safety, it's about knowing you're surrounded by people who share same values, same language, like where you don't have to be conscious all the time, like a place where you run on autopilot, but you're accepted, like you don't have to make plans every single morning in order to be a human, an accepted human.
Whether it's in Zanzibar, whether in Lamu,
yes.
Why did you choose to paint the door?
Probably I was blown away by the beauty of it first, but that's one of the things I noticed, how the doors are different back home in East Africa, the places that I have lived in Ethiopia, in Kenya, in Uganda, especially in the small towns or even in the bigger towns, doors are usually open, and like the default state of doors is open, so someone needs to put an effort to close them.
His journey began in Mekelle, the city of his birth, which he was forced to leave due to a civil conflict. But his memories and love for his homeland remain alive through his art.
These pieces are titled Makala and Makala 2. They depict their depictions of my hometown, Makala, where most of my family lives. And I made these paintings in 2022 while the war, the Tigray war was still active, and there was no communication with people living in the region, my friends and my family. So this is practically me trying to lift myself up and to live a love letter to my hometown.
South Africa has seen several waves of immigration from China, with early generations of migrants fleeing extreme poverty at home and newer arrivals seeking business opportunities. Kate Bartlett has the story about Chinese South Africans who have established businesses in Johannesburg's old and new Chinatowns.
From duck to dim sum, the kitchen inside Shonde restaurant in Johannesburg gives Chinese immigrants a little taste of home.
Hong Kong native and restaurant owner Kun Chan immigrated to South Africa almost 40 years ago.
It was easy to make money in South Africa back then.
Chan used to have a restaurant in the old original Chinatown. He closed that business because people got scared going to the old Chinatown due to crime.
Chinese migrants have been living in Johannesburg before the old Chinatown was even built.
The first Chinese arrived in the 17th century as convicts or slaves from what is now Indonesia with the Dutch East India Company. Then, during the early 1800s, Chinese indentured laborers were brought to work on the railways. The original Chinatown on Commissioner Street was established in the 1880s when free Chinese from the impoverished south of China came to the frontier mining town as part of the gold rush.
Then, in 1948, South Africa established the apartheid system. Chinese living in the country were classified as colored. Like black South Africans at the time, they were restricted to living in certain areas, but much has changed. Apartheid ended and a democratic government was formed in 1994. How ethnic Chinese immigrants from different backgrounds see each other also changed, says Arthur Ma.
Before, say 20 years ago, you could feel it because we don't even really speak to each other, the new and the old one. We just speak to our own selves, the local Chinese and the overseas Chinese. Now, we help one another.
Ma is a first-generation Chinese South African. His father fled poverty in southern China and arrived by boat in 1942. As life improved here, he sent money back home.
Then we actually helped build a hospital, give a little bit donation in our own village.
Now, Johannesburg's ethnic Chinese community includes people from Taiwan and Hong Kong. And as China opens up and prospers, there are new immigrants from mainland China.
Anything we need help, we always ask the new one because they're the ones with the money, you see, because China's going good. But we pave the road for them in this country.
Now there is a new, safer Chinatown where more Chinese gather in the suburb of Cyrildene. South African-born doctor Alice Yulin Phan's parents moved from Taiwan in the 1980s.
My dad and my aunt opened up factories in Bloemfontein, and then afterwards they opened up restaurants. So quite.
Yulin Phan and Chan's children and grandchildren can now live where they choose to live in the city. Many have professional jobs, but still come to the new Chinatown where Chan has relocated his restaurant.
Eating, celebrating festivals, events that bring ethnic Chinese from different backgrounds together to keep traditions alive. Kate Bartlett, VOA News, Johannesburg.
In Namibia, German charity Skate Aid has built a skate park on the National Institute for Special Education campus. Here, young learners with disabilities can practice a sport that encourages empowerment, socializing, and having fun. Vitalio Angula reports from Windhoek in Namibia.
Backsides, frontsides, and kick turns are just some of the tricks 19-year-old Zeka Shikumba has learned over the years. Shikumba, who is partially blind, began skateboarding in 2019, along with other children with disabilities at Namibia's National Institute for Special Education.
I was not born like this. I had cancer before. Cancer is the one that caused my vision. I actually had eye cancer before, and that was in 2010 when it started, when the cancer started.
Shikumba says he relies on light, sound, and shadows to detect the different obstacles in the skate park. He is aware of the risk of falling and hurting himself, but he says this does not deter him. Tangeni Hamukoshi is a coach with Skate Aid, the German charity that built the skate park. He gives lessons and also provides safety gear to the kids at the school.
Skateboarding has a fundamental lesson which teaches everybody, which is you fall, you get back up, and you never give up in whatever it is that you are pursuing.
About 400 learners with various physical and cognitive challenges attend the Namibia Institute for Special Education. Emily Shadei, a life skills teacher, is in charge of sports at the Institute School of the Visually Impaired, which offers not only skateboarding, but other sports like soccer and netball.
There are a lot of learners that are really interested and they are doing well. So that just proves that it doesn't mean that when you are blind, you cannot do anything.
Shikumba dreams of becoming a champion skater someday, and both his coach and life skills teacher believe that with more practice and more opportunities, he and other kids at the school will be able to compete at international games for learners with disabilities. Vitalio Angula, VOA News, Windhoek, Namibia.
Thank you for watching VOA's Red Carpet. I'm Jackson Vunganye. For more entertainment news, remember to check us out at voaafrica.com. We are also on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Don't forget to like, to share, and to subscribe. Until next time, goodbye everyone. Hello and welcome to VOA's Red Carpet. I'm Jackson Bunganyi. This week on Red Carpet, we chat with Mozambican award-winning saxophonist Moreira Chongwisa about the power of investing in public arts education. Afrobeat superstar Ashake has announced his world tour, codenamed Lungu Boy World Tour, and we attend an extreme chainsaw carving show. Those stories, plus we check out a new popular Netflix miniseries that explores the themes of migration, marriage, and medical tourism between Nigeria and India. Let's get on with the show. Hero Games, a game design studio based in Cameroon, has made historic achievement by launching the first African role-playing game on Xbox. The game, titled Orion Legacy of the Coriodan, first debuted on Microsoft Windows in 2016 and later inspired a comic book adaptation 3 years after its release. And now, this innovative game is accessible on one of the most widely used gaming consoles globally. The game captivates players with its powerful storytelling, drawing them into a deeply layered world infused with a unique spiritual strength, delivering an immersive gaming experience. Afrobeat superstar Ashake announced his world tour, codenamed Lungu Boy World Tour, that will take him across North America and Europe. The 14-day tour begins on June the 26th at Afro Nation, Portugal, and the Wireless Festival in London. He will also make stops at Atlanta's State Farm Arena and New York City's Madison Square Garden before wrapping up on October the 6th at Promised Land Festival in Gold Coast. The Lungu Boy World Tour will support Ashake's upcoming third studio album, which is due later this summer. Award-winning Mozambican jazz saxophonist Moreira Chongwisa understands the power of investing in public arts education. His country, Mozambique, prioritized cultural development by building institutions that provided formal training in music and the arts. And today, Chongwisa is celebrated globally for his virtuosity and innovation in the jazz scene, blending traditional African rhythms with contemporary jazz elements. He tells me that his journey underscores the importance of investing in arts education as a catalyst for individual growth and national cultural enrichment. Let's check it out. Parents of African society, when you think about the arts, it's not something that they push their kids into. They usually want them to be lawyers, engineers, but your father put you into the musical school at the age of 7. This was a resource that was provided by the government.
Yes. Mozambique became independent in 1975. I was born in 77, and I went to school when I was 7, music school, as an extracurricular. So it says a lot about, I don't mean to brag, but it says a lot about a new independent country that was colonized for so many centuries. You get what I'm saying? So they created the National School of Music, they created National School of Arts, they created the National Dance Company. So it was, I'm proud of that government. Did you get what I'm saying?
That's a great legacy.
No, it was a great legacy. So if I'm sitting here with you, and it wasn't private, it was public. Do you get what I'm saying? With teachers prepared to fulfill their duties and to give us tools. I went to Cape Town, the University of Cape Town, without any extra preparation. The preparation that I had was from a basic level, not even from a middle level. But I did my audition. They said, yes, you are ready. I had my challenges with the language, of course, weather, food, homesickness, but technically, I was prepared to get into that. So I think my government, they did a fantastic role.
Mr. Moreira!
How do you perceive the audience's response to jazz in Mozambique? Is there a growing appreciation for the genre? We've seen other genres like Afrobeats, other contemporary genres that are kind of taking people's attention away. How is the appreciation of the genre growing, not just in Mozambique, in Africa in general?
I think it's very positive because Afrobeat is a fantastic genre. It's there since, it will be there. but it changes formats. There is new nuances that come into Afrobeat, like today talking about Burna Boy, which is one of the world's biggest stars from Africa, Nigeria in this case. But the great thing, jazz is always there. Do you understand? These things, they come, they go, they reinvent themselves. The jazz is there. You've heard about Manu Dibango. He was always there. He's not here physically, but the music stayed.
R.I.P. Manu Dibango, the great.
Michael Jackson sampled him. He's there. Yuma Sikela, the same thing. Miriam Makeba, the same thing. So we will always be there. Jazz is not great music, no. It's not good music, no. It's relevance.
Relevance.
Yeah.
It's relevant music.
It's relevant.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, before we end this, I wanted to ask you kind of advice you would give to young aspiring musicians on how to blend their cultural roots with jazz or other genres. What advice would you offer?
Yeah, the first advice is, of course, you need to practice your craft, okay? And this is not just for jazz musicians, for athletes, etc. Education is key, because we want to create a multiply effect in order to inspire more youthful. So education is it. It doesn't matter how great saxophone player you are, how great of a singer, of football, whatever, soccer. You need to study. You need to read about your craft. You need to read about your heritage.
Participants of the Extreme Chainsaw Carving Show have just a few hours to turn a cedar block of wood into a beautiful work of art. VOA's Natasha Mzogvaya reports from Arlington, Washington in the Pacific Northwest.
Two things strike visitors to the Extreme Chainsaw Carving Show: the sound of multiple chainsaws of various sizes hard at work, and the strong scent of fresh-cut cedar. 20 chainsaw artists taking part in a 3-day marathon carving event in Arlington, in the state of Washington, showcased their work. Lane Warden says being able to improvise is a crucial part of the process.
Sometimes you start doing a bear and you might end up with a bird. You know, if you mess up on a cut, that doesn't necessarily mean you messed up the whole carve. It just means, you know, you gotta change direction. My mind's going 100 miles per hour every single time I'm carving.
Chainsaw carving was seen as a predominantly male domain. In recent years, a growing number of women carvers have taken part in live shows.
For me, it's not so much about the competition, it's actually about the company and all the amazing people that participate in this event.
Lee Woody, with a day job at a software company, got into chainsaw carving 7 years ago, following an attempt to build a house for a squirrel. Some artists are part of the tight-knit local carvers community. Hagdorj Dortsoren, called George by his peers, came all the way from Mongolia, where he carved sculptures from ice.
I want to learn. The chainsaw carving is for me, where my country is very new. Ice carving is more hard. It's cold and more clothes and more tools. I like more chainsaw carving.
Veteran artists swear that it's not as hard as it looks. One just needs to see what's hiding in that bulky block of wood. Natasha Mozgovaya, VOA News, Arlington, Washington.
A new Netflix miniseries exploring migration, marriage, and medical tourism between Nigeria and India is striking a chord with viewers in Africa's most populous nation, grappling with a struggling economy and dreams of life abroad. Here is more.
Postcards, a 5-part series produced and directed by Hamisha Dariani Ahuja, tells stories of characters in both countries, including a talented but unmotivated Nigerian dancer struggling to leave for a better life. For businesswoman Oluwakemi Rapu, one of a growing number of Bollywood fans in Nigeria, a favorite episode touching on migration resonated amid soaring inflation and Naira currency devaluation that has battered incomes and fueled thoughts of leaving.
In Nigeria, we believe that when we leave our country, we go to another country. That is when we are going to make it. You know, when I first saw when the guy got to India and I saw the place, the apartment, that I said, Nigeria is even better than this place. So sometimes if we are planning to, I want to leave my country, I want to go to another country, we should just We are going through the same thing. It's just that it's our currency that is different.
The cultural ties between Nigeria and India depicted in postcards have helped drive its popularity. Filmmaker Hamija Dariani Ahuja, who has spent most of her life in Nigeria, is keen to create borderless content, bringing people together.
You know, this time I wanted to go a little bit more modern, a little bit more slice of life. With Namaste Wahala, it was a bit of an escapism route. So you had dancing around trees, like the 90s style Bollywood. It was fun, a little bit fantasy to some extent. Of course, we had some real in there too. But with postcards, I really wanted people to see human connections. It wasn't Nigeria and India coming together. It was humans coming together with the backdrop of Nigeria and India.
The miniseries, released almost a month ago exclusively on streaming platform Netflix, has remained in the top 10 in Nigeria, hovering between first and second place. Putting out hundreds of movies and television episodes a month, Nigeria's Nollywood is the world's second biggest film industry after India's Bollywood, and generated an estimated $600 million in revenue in 2022, according to audit firm PwC.
Roller derby is a fast-paced, hard-hitting sport played on roller skates and dominated by women. VOA's Jenia Dulo takes us to the skating rink with competitors from the Angel City Derby League in Los Angeles.
In roller derby, Ariel Vargas goes by the name Murda. The bartender was first recruited by one of her customers and says it's the strong community of women that kept her coming back for 12 years.
When I started playing derby, I was looking for a community. I was looking for a place that was more women-driven. And this, you know, yes, basketball, but pickup basketball at our age is more male-driven. So this sport was women-led, and there was all these strong women that were playing it.
Roller derby is an American-originated full-contact sport played on roller skates where teams score by lapping opposing skaters. Korean-American player Rachel Weikert goes by the roller derby name bulgogi, which is a play on the Korean meat dish bulgogi. The aggressiveness of the sport allows her to step out of what she calls the Asian female common quiet stereotype. As the smallest player on her team, she says roller derby welcomes all kinds of bodies.
Where you have really small people and really tall people and skinny and bigger and all the different things, it's pretty awesome because everyone has advantages and everyone has disadvantages, and you just have to find yours and use them and hope that someone else doesn't capitalize on your weaknesses.
Tui Lion has been skating in roller derby for 16 years and says the sport's founding principles of inclusion welcome people in the LGBTQ community.
It's explicitly said anyone who identifies with this type of sport can play. So we have folks that identify as transmasculine playing, we have folks that identify as transfemme and gender non-conforming, non-binary, so it's anyone who wants to play can play, and that's intentional.
Lion says that safe space in roller derby is especially important for a transgender community, feeling pushback in other playing fields. Jenia Dulo, VOA News, Los Angeles.
Thanks for watching VOA's Red Carpet. I'm Jackson Vunganyi. For more entertainment news, remember to check us out at voaafrica.com. We are also on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. And don't forget to like, to share, and to subscribe. And as we end today's episode of The Red Carpet, we want to wish our producer Bismarck a very happy birthday. Happy birthday to you, Bismarck. Salute.
2024 United Kingdom General Elections, a preview. I am this is Plus Politics. At least 30 individuals with Nigerian ancestral ties, both men and women, will be contesting in the United Kingdom's general elections to fill some of the presently vacant 650 seats of the House of Commons. The elections are set for Thursday, July 4. The leader of the party that secures the most elected members of the chamber will be appointed by His Majesty King Charles III as the Prime Minister. It is widely anticipated that the Conservative Party, led by Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, will face defeat to the main opposition, the Labour Party, after holding power for 14 years under 5 checkered leaders. Joining us is the founder and parliamentary candidate of the Yoruba Party, Dr. Shola Oni. Also joining us is a UK-based political analyst, Otumba Hashim Olabode Oseni, and Festus Tokumbo, another UK-based development analyst. Gentlemen, welcome to Plus Politics.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Otumba, let's start with you. What is your general take of how the electioneering campaigns going on and some of the predictions that we've been hearing from across the media platforms? Your take, your intro.
Thank you very much. Let me start by saying I'm very happy to have been part of this journey. I also want to appreciate the chairman, the founder of this political party, who has this kind of big vision. And all I've been doing is to support him. And I also believe that those of us who have been here for years, who knows that the reason for this kind of a political party means more than wanting to be a member of parliament. It's a party that is founded under the belief that Nigerians, as many as we are here, that we have no political strength. We don't have any base. We don't have anything to show for. I've been here for many years. The party was formed in formed in February this year, and from just like that, 6 weeks after the formation of the party, general election was called, and we decided to go for it. We were unable to field more than one candidate, and the candidate is the Dr. Shola Oni, who is here. So far we have been he's going to contest in one of the constituencies in Southwark, that's Peckham, and also it's one of the biggest constituency in Southwark. So we have done all what is possible. We campaign and canvass for votes. We try to show the people of the area there's a new sheriff coming to town. And all what we've been asking people to do is to vote for us because he's an outstanding candidate. So up to yesterday, up to today, we have been leafletting, we have been canvassing, we have been using all possible means to get the people of the constituency to know who we are.
Okay. The question I asked you was more general in nature, but you choosing to remove the gloves, and that's that in itself is a mark of honor. At least you are not pretending as some do. They pretend to be a political analyst and be speaking particularly in favor of their partisan disposition. Do we have Festus on?
Yes.
Festus on?
Yes, thank you.
Festus. if you're a partisan of any of the political parties in the UK, but I know you are UK based, and I know you featured a couple of times on the show as a development analyst, economic analyst. First, tell us what is your take of the electioneering campaigns and the direction that the ballot go on Thursday?
Thank you very much for having me on your show. As my colleague Kafali said, the election is coming up on 4th of July. You know, one thing about the UK election, like the Western election, is based on issues. It's based on issues, and not like what is being done in Nigeria, that is based on ethnicity or religious factors. It's based on issues. And as you said, as you have rightly said, there are 750 MP that will be elected on the 4th of July from various parties. And I'm in Buckingham Council, and I'll be working with, we have two MP. We have two MP from Buckingham Council here, which are Labour, and I'll be working with them to campaign to go to the field, talk to the electorate, and why they should vote for Labour and like that. So, and the response of the criteria. Hello?
We can hear you.
The response of the criteria.
I guess the background noises are coming from the studio.
Okay, fine. So, I mean, various government polling, everybody's talking about a change, because there are a lot of problems that the UK is facing, both domestic and international problems. And look, like the local election happened about 2 months ago, you see, the Labour have the majority of the vote, followed by the Liberal Democrat, and then the Conservative. Conservative lost about over 400 of their local, or their members or their posts in local council. So we are very optimistic about it. We know people are willing to vote. I think the first time that people vote with their ID.
That's the Labour Party, because come to think of it, I also asked you a general question and you choosing to exhibit your partisan disposition. Okay, one goal to at this juncture. But having said that, Dr. Oni, in every material particular, you cannot be expected to do anything but at least espouse your candidature.
Yeah, I'm on an international.
Otumba, please mute your device. That's Otumba, please mute your device. Thank you, sir. We get to hear your voices a couple of times. I thought it was a studio from Lagos.
No, it's not me. It's the studio, but it's me this time.
Please mute your device when you are not on, sir.
Okay,
thank you very much. Dr. Oni,
I'm listening. I'm here.
It is just reasonable for me to ask, what are your chances? You are like swimming against the tide. I guess the electoral roll in your constituency would have nothing less than 70,000. And how many of them would you think will be voting for you? And what is the likelihood of an upset?
Okay. I think I should start by explaining how difficult it is for a small party to get a look in this country. That's because the media has already decided who is going to win or who is going to lose. And they've already decided that parties like Nigel Farage's reform are so sufficiently outlandish that they needed airtime. So that people like us who are reasonable people, who look at the local problems and try to provide solution for local problems, we have difficulty. In the 6 weeks that this election has been called, we have sent out by hand, talking to people, putting it on cars and so on and so forth, over 30,000 leaflets explaining who we are and what we intend to do. We have also sent out 40,000 copies of the manifesto through the post office. Not only that, we have been on the street. We have held rallies. We have been on the stump. We have been doing what elections are supposed to be about. People who say they want to represent you, they go on the streets, they talk to you, they talk all over the place. But because the big parties have taken the votes for granted, they don't go on the stumps anymore. They don't bother anymore. I like to say this. In the last 40, 50 years, the issues for election has been exactly the same. Taxes, immigration, national health service, housing, climate change, inflation. So these problems are recurring every time, which tells you that neither the Labour nor the Tory party is competent enough to solve the problem. It's the same problem every election cycle. You get exactly the same. If you have a television program from say 1968 and you compare it to today, it's exactly the same problem. And it is the same problem, as I said, because the two main parties are too incompetent to be able to deal with what the problem is. What you get on television is two parties we have gone in depth into everything to explain how in this country the failure of the government is because they tax and spend. They don't create any wealth. They don't bother to create any wealth. All they do is they take the tax from you, they take your money and spend it for you. That's why they're unsuccessful. It's never occurred to them that they need to create wealth. Yeah. And the way for this country to create wealth, being a small country, an island, is to go outside this country to create the wealth. That's where we come in. That's where parties like us, intellectually, we're above all of them. Now, the question of how we are going to do, I think we are going to surprise a lot of people. At the end of the day, there are over 70,000 electorates in Peckham. Labour can probably count on 10 to 20,000 of them as their core supporters. Admittedly, they are starting from a very high threshold. They are starting from 10 to 20,000, whereas we are starting from zero. But the fact of the matter is, as I said, they can probably count on only 10 to 20,000 electorates that will vote for them. So the other votes, the other 50,000 votes are up for grabs. And that's what we've been pitching.
Okay.
Most of Labour, just give me a minute. Most of Labour's vote has been personal to Harriet Harman, who was their MP for 42 years. She's not standing now. So we are starting from ground zero. And I think we are going to surprise a lot of people in this election. Thank you.
Okay. Otumba,
yes, I'm here.
You know, as a political analyst based in the UK who has seen a number of election cycles, you should know that it is an uphill task to defeat the two major parties when it comes to mustering the resources, reaching the constituents, because like Dr. Oni has stated, they seem to have some seeming advantage or advantages. The media naturally flits after the main parties, except, as rightly stated, melodramatic characters who give them a degree of socialism like the Nigel Farage of this world. So how do you think your party that you have openly declared for would do against such odds?
Thank you, Bala. The main tool, the main instrument, the main way to win any election in Europe, having been around for about 54 years, is when you have a selling point, a selling point like a good manifesto, offer to the people what you can offer them, what you want to do to win them, to convince them to change their regular vote has been cast for a particular party the last odd years. Take example of Peckham. Labour Party has been there the last 42 years. And like the candidate for Peckham, Dr. Olushola Oni, said, all what we can do is to spring a surprise. And to get a surprise is to campaign 4 times or 5 times more than the regular parties there. And we have done that. I have no doubt in my mind that we can do what we call in many political and elections upset. We call it upset. We can upset, we can change. Just like as we speak, it's not unlikely that many big wigs in Tories are going to lose their seat. And you'll be surprised that the newcomer in some of their constituencies will be chosen. So it is also likely that the way we have positioned ourselves, what we have put into in a campaign, all the manifestos, the canvassing and so on and so forth, will afford us the opportunity to generate a kind of offset that we can defeat the incumbent party in Peckham. So it is not going to be easy, no doubt about that. That is a long shot, but at least we can take care of that. And again, like I said, the main tool we are using is how much campaign we put into it.
First off, it is almost like a coronation for your party. And I'm thinking the intellectual grilling that the leader of your party ought to be subjected to is not getting it, because this election seems to be an election where the UK electorate is just saying, we are so fatigued, we are so tired of the Conservative Party. So first off, whether you go out or you don't go out with your Labour candidate in your constituency or any other constituency, it does seem that the UK electorate seem to have had enough. How would you respond to that, Festus?
Of course. I mean, people want to change. They believe that the Tory party, the Conservative party, have been there for 14 years and things are not getting better.
I hope and pray that the change will not be the change that one particular country got when they bought into a change that changed them in the direction of the other.
Yeah, so exactly. They want to change. They want a new party. I mean, some of the Conservative voters that have spoke to us, when they are not willing to vote, some of them will say, no, we are not voting for Conservative. And I've been there for more than 20, 25 years. They are tired of Conservative Party. Some of them will say, well, we will not vote, or if they don't want to vote at all, they consider a Labour Party. And the fact is that if you look at the 2019 election, Labour and Conservative have about 84% of vote, of the total vote, while the many parties were less than 16%. So it is obvious, and I mean, as my colleague Afali said, probably in Peckham, where there are a lot of foreigners, a lot of Nigerians or other nationals, they can be all stay there. They want the council there. But when you talk about the general election, I mean, the point is going to Labour Party, and they're going to be offset as all. Offset, Labour Party can make, can get good vote and make a surprise. It will be Labour Democrat, as was the case during the council election, because they came second, the Conservative came third. And if there's going to be any coalition at all, it will likely be Labour and Labour Democrat. It's not going to be from Conservative.
You must be a very circumspect Labour supporter, because at this juncture you are the first Labour supporter that I see who in any scenario of his analysis has posited a coalition. It is almost going to be a steamroller, because the Labour will likely get all its lost seats in the northern part of England. The SNP has shot itself in the foot in Scotland. So, but let me go to your colleagues. Dr. Oni.
Yes, sir.
Just on a general note now, it is almost certain that the Labour Party will be forming the next government. It is almost certain from the statistics out there, from the polls and projections. I wonder what an ultra-minority member, let's even paint a perfect case scenario where you and the efforts of those who are supporting you voice amongst very aggressive debaters. You seem to me like a gentleman, culture, coming from the background of medicine where politeness and refinement and civility reign supreme. I wonder what your representation will amount to in such a scenario. Just thinking aloud.
Thank you for that. But there's also, people say things, the pen is mightier than the sword. There's also the fact that when you put things concisely, precisely, intellectually, sometimes you are able to change minds. One of the tasks that we are going to do is to see how we can change minds. For example, when it comes to the question of creating wealth abroad, at least we have thought of that, and we could then use our position, even though we have only a lone MP, we can use our position to say, this is how you create wealth. For example, in our manifesto, we describe what we call the desert economy. As you know, the desert has been encroaching on the Sahel for quite some time now. And one of the ways of stopping that is to plant trees across the Sahel. Not only will that help reduce the ingrowth of the desert, it will also deal with climate change, because trees eat carbon, and carbon is the cause of climate change. Now imagine the scenario where this country spends some money to create this desert economy, which involves planting trees in the Sahel. That is going to create jobs in this country. There'll be planners, there'll be environmentalists, there'll be geologists, there'll be water engineers, there'll be agriculturalists, all sorts of professions will be involved. That is one way of creating wealth externally, which not only helps this country, will help the Sahel, will also help climate change. Instead of people sitting around and talking about zero sum and all this kind of nonsense, that's where we come in, that we are able to intellectually articulate what we think is the way forward. And that will allow people in government to think. To say, this is another perspective. Can we go down this lane? So I am not fazed at all that you might we might end up with just one MP, and what can he do? And I usually give an example of when I was at the General Medical Council as the lone black man there. Before I joined the council, there were 2 registers, one for overseas trained doctors, one for British home trained doctors. And the point that I was making in those days was this: when the patient comes to you, the patient doesn't ask where you qualified. The patient is only interested in a competent doctor, somebody to look after you. That's it. The patient does not care where you come from. In other words, the idea of 2 registers was not to protect the patient. It was for other reasons apart from protecting the patient. And that argument won the day. So we then ended up with just 1 register. So that whether you trained here or you trained abroad, you're all 1 register. So I'm listening.
How would you respond to a cynic or a skeptic listening to you now and is saying this man is wittingly or unwittingly espousing a colonization all over again?
That's my response.
Let me finish.
Okay.
He's speaking to reforestation of the Sahel when ordinarily the Sahel is literally spanning the territories of sovereign nations. When ordinarily those sovereign nations would have the sovereign right to decide how they even want to feel. As wonderful and as good as the idea may be, you are speaking as though it must be only UK botanists, UK geologists, UK professionals who will go and do it. And for you, that is wealth creation. How would an average country in the Sahel feel that, they are bringing money, they are bringing personnel? What about our own project? What about our own professionals who can do it?
Can I respond to that?
Yes, please.
Okay, your professionals can do it. They are not doing it. This idea that you've got people on the ground to do, they're not doing it. It's really an empty boast. We've got people to do it, but they're not doing anything. You don't have the money to do it.
But you would then do a diktat from 10 Downing Street.
With due respect. With due respect, that has got nothing to do with it. They're not just coming and just saying we are going to do this. They negotiate with you. All this nonsense that we talk about sometimes, they've been taking oil from Nigeria since 1950s. Not a single refinery was built in Nigeria. They built it in Singapore. To take Nigerian oil to Singapore and then import oil for us what is that? Is that not worse colonization? That they take from us, they take to Singapore, thousands and thousands of miles away, refine it and bring it to us, to sell to us at a high price. This nonsense, as if we are passive people. If you are talking of desert economy, the people, what is wrong with the government of that area saying, let us negotiate, let us see how we are going to do things. They are putting, there are so many things that
then you must be supporting Richard Sunak's idea of deporting so-called illegal immigrants.
Please, come on. Don't let's degenerate to that level. Come on. This has got nothing to do with immigration. And if you want to talk about immigration, let's do it now. Sunak, let me tell you, Bremerman, Sunak, Patel, they did it for racist reasons. So don't let us mince words. Let me finish. The United Kingdom is a signatory to the 1951 Convention on Refugees. It is a signatory to the 1967 Protocol on Refugees, which says that when somebody comes to your land and says, I'm a refugee, it is your duty to look after them. It does not matter how they got there, whether they were imported by some thieves or brought on a boat or whatever it is. That is what this country signed up to. If this country is not satisfied with what it signed, it can always get out of it. But you can't have a situation. This is what happens to us Africans all the time. That you just accept this kind of nonsense because you don't go back to look at what the facts are. Britain has no right to deport anybody to Rwanda. None whatsoever. Because Britain signed a protocol, signed a convention. If they don't want it, they can cancel it. But as long as you pretend that you will look after refugees, and in any case, if you go down in Peckham today, there are buildings that are empty, vast numbers of buildings that have been left empty, where you could house refugees once you are dealing with their problem, rather than putting them on boats. That's why I said the policy was racist right from the beginning. There are places in Peckham today where you can house refugees. They don't have to to be put on a boat. They don't have to be taken to Uganda, to Rwanda. Yes,
I'm listening aloud now. I'm thinking racist policy by Rishi Sunak, who is of Indian ancestry, Braverman, who is of Indian ancestry, racist against the black, or which of the race of colored or what?
Okay, let me tell you. Well, maybe you don't know about Indian society anyway, because they have a caste system. So don't let's go into that. But the fact of the matter is that what Braverman, Patel, and Sunak are proposing is racist. Their parents came here, but they are now preventing others from coming. They are being used because they have a brown face. So don't let us go down that path at all, because I have my own personal views, and I'll let you know. When Braverman became Liz Truss's Home Secretary, I wrote to her about this. So what I'm saying to you, I'm not saying it in a vacuum. I wrote a letter to her. She didn't have the courtesy to respond to it. I wrote to her about this. They're spending millions and millions of pounds wasting. What is Rwanda to Britain? Rwanda was never a colony. You are sending people to Rwanda. Why? Why?
Political
Ukrainians are okay. You can bring Ukrainians here. They're okay, no problem. But from other places, oh no, they can't come here. Oh please. Let's go back.
Otumba Ashir.
Yes, sir.
How would you respond to if somebody then says, beyond the nomenclature, Yoruba Party, how could somebody of your political knowledge be espousing a candidate of Yoruba Party beyond that nomenclature, and the fact that your ancestry and your sentiments are in every material particular that connected to the primordiality of Yorubadness? How would you respond?
We come across this, your question. I mean, this is your question. I hope you are not distributed to the people of Peckham, because most of them have been asking a similar question. And what we told them is this: we could have called it Bola Party in the UK. We could have called it Nyanga. We could have called it anything. at the end of the day, the visionary, the person who has spent most of his time doing medicine in this country, law and some other things, I have give it a serious thought that it is not the name for now. For those of you, especially you, when you heard about it, you said to me, oh, you wish you could have been still living here. You will have probably wrong because you've done it before. You have been there and you know exactly how it works. So the thing is, I don't see any problem in the name of the party. Because like I said, if we call it Anglo, Wazobia, anything, Festus, Festokia, anybody, people will still say to you, why did you not add their own preference? So for me, it was what the political party offers, I think is the most important. And like Dr. Oni said, for the people of Peckham, what they're about to get is an outstanding candidate who will be looking at their interests, who will be fighting for their rights. He talk about housing. Housing in Peckham is horrible. Let's even talk about security. Here we have a large constituency like Peckham that has thousands of, registered voters, 76,000 or so, and they don't even have a single police station. The only one there has been closed down. You will need to go 5 miles away to get to get to a police station. These are issues that we have discussed, and I have no doubt in my mind that if we get the position there, these are the things our candidate will restore. We talk about it in the House of Commons, and you know when issues like that are tabled, it has to be discussed. And the thing is, again, for me, we are not afraid. Yes, we come across, and the only people that have been challenging the name are your own Yoruba people, which is fine. But we always said to them, the other, it also has to be said that the party is not targeting only Yoruba, because to be honest, the total number of Yoruba in the constituency, we don't have the statistics. We only have statistics for the constituents. So having said that, I don't think if we even have 2,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 Yoruba that are registered from our typical way we do things, not all of them are going to vote. And if even all of them are going to vote, it is not likely that all of them are going to vote one Yoruba party. So it comes down to the fact that we have been campaigning to all the registered constituents of that place. And I have no doubt in my mind that it's going to pay off.
Okay, I think at this juncture, I need to make some confessions. I was positively enamored to have had the Yoruba party. Like Otumba Rally alluded to what I said. And for me, thank you. For somebody who has read much about the Yoruba diaspora, especially from about 400 years ago, how the Yorubas articulated or used cohesion as an instrumentality of preserving their culture in Latin America, from Bahia in Brazil, even when they were being murdered in Argentina, how they supported themselves when Argentina was eliminating their blacks, to how they have preserved their culture in the Caribbean. And now, as we speak, the fastest growing religion in Latin America has been Santeria. Santeria being a religion that is based on the mythology of Ifa. As a student of history, I was particularly enamored that a Yoruba man, especially an erudite Yoruba man, could take that step. Because on one occasion in the past, short of the mutual respect that Otumba and I have for ourselves, I was not one who supported Yoruba nation because of Sunday Igboho. I felt we have been too blessed intellectually for such a character. to be espoused as a, as a central figure of identification by Yorubas. I think I went to from Obafemi Awolowo to all the other this thing. But you see, when I even looked at the background of the person, I said truly that if I was still fully living in the UK, I probably would have taken up the gauntlet of running on the platform of the party in Woolwich, because come to think of it, I have a rich antecedent, electoral antecedent in that area. But having said that, that's not the issue here now. Let me be fair enough, because on this occasion, I have to be fair. At least the only opposition member we have here now, quote unquote, is Santos. These people will not choke you.
No, I can tell you, I'm a mind reader. I can tell you as we speak. He will get home and call his friends and family in Peckham to vote for, definitely. But well, tell me if I'm wrong, Festus.
No, at all. I've never seen. When I talked earlier, I said, it is possible that the Yoruba Party could create an offset in Peckham, as a political party.
So because of your own Yoruba sentimentalities too.
He's also affected. He has been affected.
No, not really, because election in the UK is about the issues, and as a political party, it's actually your political manifestos to the voters. Is that what matters? I mean, pretty like
yes. First off, because you are a development economist, and we've had you on the show a couple of times speaking to development strategies. What do you see to some of the ideas that Dr. Oni is positing regarding the fact that this is an island, the level to which you can use internal resources to develop is limited, and just as the UK once did historically, going out there, when the British Empire, when the sun never said so, the British Empire, and that was the period they had they took the most development strides at the expense of the colonies. From India, the crown jewel of the colonies, to places like Nigeria, and as small places as the Gambia or the Caribbeans. What is your own take as a labor colonist again?
To be sincere, I have a lot of reservation about the idea. In a survey conducted by YouGov about the electorate, 52% of them they are more concerned about the economy. The inflation rate in UK is about 4.4%. It was 2% for the Ukraine crisis.
That's why it has fallen out. It is down 2 point something.
It's 4.4.
Because conservative party member is not here.
The high cost of living, the about 8 million people in the UK could not have opportunity for that GP because the NHS is not well funded. So those are domestic issues that are more concerned with to the electorate. And when it comes to that of climate change, the UK is the leading country in climate change. For example, in 2008, UK was the first region in the world that created a legislation that was meant to reduce the global greenhouse gas emission. And when you examine the G7 countries, UK is the most decarbonized in those countries. For example, when you examine the electricity sector, over 50% of electricity sources in the UK is from fossil fuel. From renewable energies. But when you examine the energy sectors, about 70% produced from energy sector. But among the G7 countries, UK is a leading country, and the government has proposed to phase out diesel cars and petrol cars by 2030. So UK is taking a giant stride in climate change. So what I'm trying to say is that the electorate are more concerned about domestic issues.
Okay, let me go to Dr. Oni now, and I really want to take a leap from Festus's conclusion. I would want to believe, Dr. Oni, that domestic issues, as it pertains to your candidature, will relate to issues in your constituency.
Yes.
It will relate to issues in your constituency. And I'm thinking the per capita income in your constituency is relatively in the UK and across Western Europe seemingly low. That's number one. And that also is a function of the fact that the level per capita of education, forget about the fact that some of you people who started from this end, especially those of you from some bookish, quote unquote, bookish Anglophone countries like Nigeria, like Southern Nigeria, Ghana, and say some of you have made good for yourselves by acquiring multiple degrees, medicine, surgery. From medicine, surgery, I wonder how you even took the pain to go to law school, law, and other, Otumba from insurance, district management to law. So some of you, but the general average, the per capita in your constituency is such that, especially the Gen Zs, the youngsters, they need skills. I'm not hearing you talking to that.
Oh yeah. I have been talking to that, and there are fundamental issues. Okay, because what happens in the community? In fact, I was discussing this with somebody a couple of days or so ago. That when you see the statistics of how well government is doing, it is not the reality of what people on the ground are feeling. You can do all the statistics you like, but the reality is what the life of the people on the ground are. Part of the problem, and why you need political parties like mine, is the fact that people are making decisions for you. People are saying, this is what your school should be like. This is what policing should be like. This is what your housing should be like. They are not asking you what you want your policing to be like, or what you want your housing to be like, or what you want your schools to be like. The decision is being made for you. There's nobody holding a town hall and asking the people of Peckham, what do you want? But as I've been going around talking to people, and see the difference between what they want and what they are being provided. The difference between what they want and all the things that the politicians are talking about. I think it was somebody who, I can't remember which politician who said that inflation is created by government, not by people. Inflation is created by government, not by people. So all the economic disasters, it's not caused by the people, it's caused by government itself. And what happens when somebody else decides for you what aspects of your life should be, is that you end up the way we have ended up with increased crime. Your children are not doing well at school. And in fact, when black children go to school, all the teachers are interested in, can he play football? Can he run? Can he jump? Not can he think. Those things will change when we have a political party that shines some light on our community, that says, we too can do this. We too can do this. Once others know that we too can do this, they will listen to us. They will not come and build houses on our land, and houses that we cannot afford to rent or to buy. So that slowly, you are turning Peckham into Islington, into central London. Because the people here cannot afford the new housing. You call it affordable housing. Affordable by who?
Hello, candidate Oni, because we must grill candidate Oni well enough to show that whether you are abiding. I hope you are not a Trump. I'm hearing, are you against the gentrification that is happening? As I'm talking to you now, I'm literally speaking from your constituency. And given what I've known of Peckham say in the last 30, 35 years, or even up to about 20 years, have seen enormous amount of gentrification, enormous amount of uplift in the aesthetics of the environment. Are you against that, or what are you speaking about?
If you remember how I started, I said it is what the people on the ground feel is the reality. What you are talking about appeals to you. Does it appeal to the people on the ground? Because what the people on the ground see is that they are being priced out of living in Peckham. That's what they see. You see the beauty, you say, oh, well, you know, it's like a New York outline now, is beautiful, is this, is that. Is that what the people of Peckham see? They see differently. Because I talk to them, and they tell me exactly what I've told you. That they take our houses, they demolish it, they put this apartment blocks.
Please educate me. Please educate me. Coming from the background of somebody who used to live in the UK, who understands how this society functioned and how some of us were ushered into the opportunity of right to buy, you know, growing equity on some of the council flats that we ultimately owned. If anybody choose to sell, that person would not have been pushed out. That person would have earned good money from such a transaction. So, and some are choosing not to sell and just grow the equity on their residencies. What could be wrong with that?
I didn't say anything was wrong with that. Let me remind you again what I said. You are looking at a minority where everything looks rosy. I am telling you about the people that I've met on the streets and I'm talking to. Their reality. Their reality. I can see. I have an idea of the sort of place I would like to live in, and so on and so forth. But that's not the point. The point is what the people on the ground say they want. That's the reality. And it's the same thing with the National Health Service as well.
What do they say they want?
That's what I'm telling you. That they are building houses that they cannot afford to buy, they cannot afford to rent. That's it. So you build something, you say this is affordable housing, but they can't afford it.
Which is a general phenomenon across the Greater London area.
It doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter where it is. I can only tell you what the people of Peckham are saying, and it is important for politicians. I mean, I know I'm not, I'm just a neophyte when it comes to politics, but it is important to listen to what people on the ground are saying. That's my job as a doctor, as an orthopedic surgeon. I listen to what my patient is saying before I offer treatment. I don't just see the guy and say, this is the treatment.
Our time is quite well spent.
Oh,
Otumba, in 10 seconds, Otumba, your closing remark. Hello, Otumba, is Otumba there? Okay, Festus, your closing remark.
Okay, thank you. I think I wish the Yoruba Party they good luck in Peckham.
Thank you.
I listen to you and I'm very.
So at the end of the day,
but the election.
At the end of the day, Festus, at the end of the day, your own neighbor has a caveat when it comes to Peckham.
I'm not talking about Peckham. Generally, I think the election is Labour Party. I mean, every
but when it comes to Peckham, you rather want your Omoluabi brother to fly. You see,
that's not fair. That is not fair.
And go and read about how the Yorubas were said to have a very, very high community in Bahia, in Brazil, that you would still do your egungun, you will still sell akara, you will still sell this thing. You see you now.
You are being unfair. You are being unfair.
I do the sign of the cross to you Yorubas for whatever it's worth.
Now,
but I have to confess. I have to confess too. I was positively first. I was not peculiar to you. I was also positively enamored. Yeah. I was tripped, and I wouldn't know where that primordial instinct came from. That this was what supported. But yeah. I no longer hold the vote in the UK because. My name should be somewhere on the electoral register, but I don't see myself voting on Thursday. I wish you all.
Can I quickly, just before you go? Yeah, no. I just want to appreciate Plus TV for giving us this opportunity because we are going to.
Free of charge.
Yeah. Well, hey, at least you and many other Nigerians, whether here or not, are going to. Have for the first time in many years a voice. Yesterday I was watching on television. I saw Sunak going all over the place, going to the Sikh temple, going to different Indian temple and so on and so forth, seeking for votes. And the same thing the Labour leader was doing. They gone to the Jews, they everywhere.
As a candidate gone to the Ifa temple in Ifa.
Oh yes, oh yes. I've been to churches, I've been to mosques. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
This is a wrap.
I am Emmanuel Olububukun, and this is a news update. Now, Reverend Father Michael Suleiman, who was abducted by his rectory from his rectory in Damba, Gusau, Zamfara State, on the 22nd, has been released by his captors. In a video statement, the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, Matthew Kuka, introduced Father Suleiman. In the video, Father Suleiman expressed gratitude for the prayers and support that led to his rescue. Reverend Father Michael Suleiman was abducted in the early hours of June 22nd from the rectory of the St. Raymond Catholic Church in Dampe Gusau, where he serves as the parish priest under the Sokoto Catholic Diocese. Now, a vehicle belonging to a local vigilante group in Imo State has been ambushed by unknown gunmen in the Injabel area. Now, according to an eyewitness, the vigilantes were attacked while on a security patrol within the community. The eyewitnesses reported that the 3 vigilantes and a teenager were killed by the assailants who had set up an ambush and opened fire on the security personnel. A stray bullet struck and killed a teenager at the scene. The State Police Command has also condemned the attack and deployed a tactical squad to apprehend the perpetrators. Security has now deteriorated in Imo State with frequent attacks by armed gunmen targeting local vigilante groups. Now, heightened tensions are gripping Rivers State as 2 rival factions of the State Assembly holds parallel legislative sessions. Now, the Victor Okojumbo-led Assembly, loyal to Governor Sim Fubara, convenes in an improvised chamber within the state government complex in Port Harcourt. Meanwhile, the Martin Amewule-led group, aligned with the Nyesom Wike, the Minister of Federal Capital Territory, gathers at the official State Assembly quarters along Abba Road. Now, both factions commenced their respective plenary sessions at 10 a.m. The Okojumbo Assembly is expected to screen a new commissioner nominee, Emmanuel Frank Fubara, while the agenda of the Amewule group remains unclear. Now, this stand follows October 2023 bombing of the main State Assembly complex, which occurred during an alleged attempt by 27 lawmakers loyal to Wike to impeach Governor Fubara. Now, President Bola Tinubu was re-elected as the chairman of the ECOWAS community of West African State ECOWAS. He was re-elected at the 64th ordinary session of the Authority of Heads of State and Government held at the presidential villa in Abuja, Nigeria. Now, after accepting his re-election, President Tinubu appointed the president of Senegal to join in the mediation efforts with Burkina Faso, Niger, and Chad. Meanwhile, Tinubu urged ECOWAS members states to fulfill their financial commitment to the regional body. Now, emphasized that substantial financial resources are crucial to operationalize the ECOWAS standby force and to effectively combat terrorism, banditry, and violent extremism in the region.
As we move to operationalize the ECOWAS standby force, ESF, in combating terrorism, I must emphasize that the success of this plan requires not only strong political will, but also substantial financial resources. We must, therefore, ensure that we meet the expectations and recommendations set forth by our ministers of defense and finance in order to counter the insecurity and stabilize our region. Member states must make extra commitment on providing resources for stabilizing the region. To this end, I urge ECOWAS to leverage on the capability of the Nigerian National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, which is widely acknowledged as one of the best on the continent. The Nigerian government has decided to declare the NCTC as a regional center.
A non-governmental organization, Education Above All, is calling on the Nigerian government to quell the insurgency ravaging northern Nigeria and establish lasting peace in the region. The group made this appeal during our recent visit to Maiduguri, one of the areas most severely impacted by Boko Haram activities. Details in this report. Education Above All is dedicated in assisting the displaced individuals affected by the insurgency, providing support to help them reintegrate into society. As part of effort, the organization has been actively involved in facilitating the return of children to school. In our recent development, representatives from Education Above All paid a visit to the Borno State Government House, where they were warmly welcomed by the Deputy Governor of the state, Umar Kandafo.
Equally, just want to say your coming to Borno State is timely because of, we are in our recovery process. And I believe now every, government that is sensitive about the education of children, especially the girl child, need to have collaboration with, organizations like yours. We have a lot of partners now who have been actively involved in the recovery process of the state. Borno State, having been the epicenter of the insurgency, have been so devastated because of the destructions that we have witnessed in the girl child sector and also in the school enrollment process. We've been partnering with UNICEF too. They are doing well on that. I believe Borno State government will be obliged to work hand in hand with you. We'll give you all the support you needed as a host government to operate in Borno State. And inshallah, we appreciate all the effort that you have been doing to see that the girl child education is something that we prioritize, especially at the period we are in now.
Amina Saidu, a victim of Boko Haram's brutality, shared the terrifying experiences she had witnessed.
It's very difficult for me when the Boko Haram crisis happened in Goza. They attacked Goza. After some time, we left the camp. I don't know what to eat. My small child has to carry a truck, push water, selling water to feed me and my other children. I met a lady, Sa'a and Abdullahi. They works in within the community. They goes to my house, my place. They says they needed children that have not been enrolled in school, children that are not going to school. So that was how they registered my children. They took them.
The group's message highlighting the detrimental impact of insurgency on both the physical infrastructure and the overall peace and stability of a nation.
Some of these children are in the most difficult to reach areas. Apart from the usual barriers that we find children having, like lack of access to a school, poverty, geographical issues. In addition, in Nigeria, we have the conflict in the northern states. So most of the work that we are doing currently with the Street Child is in the 3 states of Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa. And this is where some of the highest number of conflicts have been reported and displacements because of armed groups attacking on children. So the motivation for our partners is to reach these displaced children who have no other alternative. So Education Above All works with partners who are already on the ground and they understand the context. Effort that needs to be undertaken by everybody, from the government, from the civil society, from communities, because the attacks against education are everywhere. And as you say, Qatar, through Education Above All Foundation, working with the UN, has been championing the protection against education attacks. And on the 9th of September, we have this international day that we mark to protect education against attack. So the coalition, the Global Coalition for the Protection of Education Against Attack, has reported in the last 2 years in Nigeria alone.
Education Above All's visit emphasizes the critical importance of peace in northern Nigeria. By joining forces, the government, NGOs, and the international community can establish a more prosperous future for the children and all inhabitants of the area. Now, the Joint Action Committee of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Social Institutions has directed its members to commence a nationwide protest on Tuesday. This decision comes after the federal government's unsuccessful attempt to address the union's grievances regarding 4 months of withheld salaries. In a statement jointly signed by SANU National President Comrade Mohammed Haruna Ibrahim and his NASU counterpart Peters Adeyemi in Abuja, the union leadership accused the federal government of failing to demonstrate a convincing commitment to paying withheld salaries and resolving other outstanding grievances of the two new unions. The unions have expressed frustrations over what they perceive as the government's disregard for their financial and welfare concerns, and they have planned a series of industrial actions of a commitment. The federal government yesterday found out what it called irresponsible claims on national security and the Samoa Agreement it signed with the European Union, vowing to seek redress in a court of law against any media organization believed to be publishing misleading stories. It specifically lamented that a media report on recent signing of the EU Pact, which claimed was done to promote lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender and queer, LGBTQ, and was not factional, now describing it as sensational. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris, who said this at the National Press Center, Abuja, not vanguard for promoting such claims.
Falsely accusing the government of signing a deal to promote LGBTQ. We found that despicable and wicked because the allegation is nowhere in the document signed on behalf of the federal government.
Now straight we move on to entertainment news. John Cena, titan in the world of professional wrestling, has set a date for his retirement from the ring. The 16-time WWE champion made the announcement at the Money in the Bank event in Toronto, Canada. Cena revealed that 2025 will be his final year in WWE competition, as he will participate in the Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania 41, which will be held in Las Vegas. before stepping away from in-ring competition. The wrestler also appeared sporting merchandise for John Cena Farewell Tour 2025, acknowledging the current boom in WWE's popularity. Cena reflected on his long career, which began in 2002, as he spoke about challenges faced by wrestlers, particularly during periods of less mainstream attention. Though Cena transitioned to a part-time role in 2018 to pursue a successful film career, has expressed his desire to remain involved with the company beyond his in-ring retirement, particularly with the upcoming movie of Raw to Netflix in January. And that's the news updates. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, X and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel, Pulse of Africa and Pulse of Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us on Limix and Limix.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. I am Emmanuel Olubobokun, and thanks for watching.
Hello. Hope you enjoyed the news. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to hit the notification button so you get notified about fresh news updates.
The 16th time.